and gentlemen, let's go. We ain't got no time to waste. Let's go. You are now listening to Jason Anderson, and you are in the zone.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I think we beat the young guys up over the week to understand what type of level of play we need from them and the expectation playing playoff football in Arrowhead, Giha, wherever stadium. Oh, it's not Giha? Oh, excuse me. My apologies. It's okay. Giha.
You're in the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, a Thursday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco and Beards heading up until 2 o'clock. We've got you for the next 4 hours. We'll talk some football, some college basketball today. Play a little sports or leisure as well, and we'll hear from the Chiefs. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and we'll find out who else is going to be at the podium today around 11:50 or so. Hear from players in the locker room. We'll see if Nate can stir up any more controversy in there. Just a rabble-rousing out. Hey, say something controversial about the other team.
What doesn't impress you about the Eagles?
What if he just asked Willie Gay the exact same question? What impresses you about the Eagles' offense? Everything! Everything impresses me about their offense.
They're overwhelming. I don't see us having a shot. Oh, God.
I'm actually going to play up this injury more so I don't have to be out there and get embarrassed.
Did I say too much? I said too much.
Dang it. I always say too much. I never know that right level of what to say or not.
Okay, you know what? Actually, I'm super confident because Spags has a plan where we're going to be able to play with 12 defenders. Oh, no, that was a secret? Dang it.
I actually think we're going to destroy them. God, it's too far the other way. I need some training on this. So we will hear from the Chiefs. We'll hear from the locker room. Some of those things as the show progresses. 913-912-4810 to join the show, to be a part of it. 913-912-4810, the text line to join us and talk about whatever we are talking about as well. And then Ross Tucker will be our guest at 11 o'clock, CBS, Westwood 1. We'll talk with Ross Tucker about his thoughts, looking ahead to the Eagles and Chiefs matchup. That thing's still a 1.5. It has stabilized at 1.5 for the Eagles. Eagles favored by 1.5. So that's still sitting there. We told you, or at least Cynthia said to us yesterday on the air, that she thinks it'll be the Chiefs favored by the time that game kicks off. So if you were thinking of betting the Chiefs, go ahead and get the points right now. Go ahead and take advantage of the points right now, or even the money line at plus 105 at DraftKings right now. But we'll talk with Ross Tucker, see what his thoughts are initially on Chiefs and Eagles. He does a lot of work in Philadelphia around the Eagles. He was also on the sideline there for that game, Eagles and 49ers, so we can break down just how difficult the task was for the Eagles to really dominate that 49ers offense. Not many teams are going to be able to go out there and play the way they did against that 49ers offense, really showing that the Eagles defense is maybe the best we've ever seen
in the history of football.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yep, maybe.
I mean, look, how many times have you seen a quarterback who is about to need Tommy John out there on the field?
Not too often.
Truly hard to prepare for, some would say.
While the Eagles' offensive line is roughly compared to the 7 blocks of granite, was that 1930, 1940? Right around there, that time, maybe the greatest offensive line we've ever seen.
I think they moved too much to even take that moniker. They're like
that's a good point.
5 John Deere tractors.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's
maybe bulldozers.
That's a great point.
They got some energy though.
They do. Look, it is a task. That Eagles defense is good, and that offensive line is really good. So the Chiefs will have their work cut out for them coming up in Phoenix a week from Sunday. But we'll talk with Ross Tucker, see what his thoughts are on that, the impact that Hassan Reddick can make, which will be really annoying if Hassan Reddick makes an impact that is big enough to change and sway the outcome of the game, and the Eagles end up winning because for, I don't know, let's say 2 straight off seasons, I wanted the Chiefs to go and sign Hassan Reddick. But It's fine. I know the whole 4-3 and 3-4. I'm like, yeah, I guess Spags would never figure out how to play a guy standing up and not have his hand in the dirt. Oh, that's right, Frank Clark. How could they possibly have a guy that is in a 2-point stance as a defensive end? Everybody's got to be down in a 3-point stance as a defensive end with Spags, except for Frank Clark. But no big deal. We'll see what Hassan Reddick can do and the impact he can make on this Eagles defense against the Chiefs' offensive line, and how the Chiefs will go up against that. Essentially 3-4. Well, they'll play 3 defensive tackles, 3 bigger bodies in the middle, and then a couple of quicker defensive ends. And they get after the quarterback. We know that. They led the league in sacks, 15 more than the second most, which was the Kansas City Chiefs. So I think both of these defenses and defensive lines, sackers, pass rushers will have maybe their toughest test. Maybe their toughest test. Not going through and looking at every single offensive line that the Eagles have gone up against this year, but I would say the Chiefs' offensive line is pretty damn good compared to the teams that they have played, and we know the Eagles' offensive line is going to be head and shoulders better than the 2 offensive lines the Chiefs have played in the postseason to this point. So it is setting up to be a really fun matchup and a great breakdown of what it's going to be, and I think an evenly matched game. And I also think a couple of quarterbacks that are not 100%. Whether it's an ankle injury for Patrick Mahomes or that shoulder injury for Jalen Hurts. I haven't gone back and watched the last few games of the Eagles since Hurts has come back from injury, but this morning Adam Kaplan talking about and saying that you can still see Jalen Hurts favoring that shoulder, that there will be times where he's running and he'll just slide. He wants to avoid it, or he'll fall on the other side to make sure that he does not come close to that shoulder, and maybe it affects a little bit of the passing game and his accuracy and things like that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But he's got a couple more weeks to recover from that. Mahomes has a couple of weeks to recover and get better from, the ankle injury, and reports that he came out of that game against the Bengals feeling pretty good. As good as you can be 8 days after, you have a high ankle sprain and you go through the entire week's worth of rehab to try to get back to play that game. And then you play a full game in which you did have to move around. The mobility was hampered, but he still had to offer mobility. He still had to run. He still had to go around in the pocket. He still had to run to his left and throw back to his right, which is something that re-aggravated that ankle. He still had to pick up the first down running around the right side away from Joseph Asai to even get there, to extend that, to be in a position to where he could beat him to the first down marker while still being able to get out of bounds, to angle that way, and able to do that. And we'll see how that affects it moving forward. And obviously there'll be a lot of eyes and ears and wanting to know what the injury situation and status will be for these other Chiefs players. L'Jarius Sneed, a big one. Willie Gay, there was optimism. He was optimistic. The Chiefs were encouraged by the initial tests from Willie Gay's injury in the game. Don't know about Juju Smith-Schuster. That guy's had knee injuries and knee problems. Tony was a regular ankle sprain, not the high ankle sprain, so maybe that makes it more likely that he returns. And I don't think we're going to see Mecole Hardman. I think Mecole Hardman wanted to play again this year and went out there and did what he could and then re-injured it, and now he's going to be done for the year. That's my guess, that if he leaves that game in as much pain as he did, and now you're talking about how long it took him to get to the point to where he can even go out there, to then say, well, yeah, but 2 weeks later you got to go out there and do it again. So to me, the eyes are going to be on Juju and Kadarius Toney, and maybe even more importantly, Kadarius Toney. If I had to choose between the two, I would take a healthy Kadarius Toney over a healthy Juju Smith-Schuster because of all of the things that the Chiefs want to do with their offense, spreading sideline to sideline, just as they want to do goal line to goal line. And I put that out there on Twitter when Mecole Hardman was activated before the game on Sunday. I said this will be the first time in a long time where the Chiefs are going to be able to really utilize the sidelines and have their array of weapons, where they are such a good offense that spreads the floor like a basketball team that can spread the field. They will stretch you horizontally and vertically. And there have been times with the lacking of personnel that they have not been able to do that, stretching those defenses horizontally. They've been able to do it vertically, but not sideline to sideline. And you have those guys healthy, and that was an opportunity to do that. And I believe personally that Kadarius Toney was going to be a big part of the Chiefs' offensive game plan until he sprained his ankle. We found out that L'Jarius Sneed was going to be traveling with Jamar Chase in that game. 4 plays in, he leaves. Okay, Spagnuolo, now come up with a new game plan on the fly against the Bengals. So we'll be following these things and seeing, what the update and the status is for these different players. 913-912-4810. I do want to start with a little college basketball as Mizzou gets the win last night against LSU, and it was a game that we talked about that LSU had really been struggling, and they had lost, 7, 8 in a row, and it was an opportunity for Missouri just simply take care of business, get the win, do what you're supposed to do on a night that you're the better team playing at home against a team that has completely lost it. That not only are they losing, they're losing by 20, 30 points in some of these matchups, that you have to go and win that game. It's not a must win. We like to say a can't lose as opposed to a must win. It was a can't lose if you're talking about tournament resume. It's not a resume builder, but it can be a resume crusher if you lose to a team like LSU at home. Missouri has the 15th most quad 1 and quad 2 wins in the country. You don't want to then add a quad 3, a quad 4 loss in there to drag that down. So it was a big night for Mizzou from that perspective only, not big night as in wow, you got a huge test in front of you with LSU. And to me, it was kind of an interesting tie-in because Matt McMahon was a guy that was on the list of coaches that I wanted Mizzou to go out and hire. I certainly would have liked Matt McMahon. Dennis Gates was there. Once his name came up and you start to do a little more research, I wasn't sitting there going, I want to get this guy from Cleveland State. Until it was hey, Dennis Gates is a name that's being thrown around and is in serious contention. Okay, let me learn a little more about Dennis Gates. Okay, Todd Golden from San Francisco, that's now the head coach at Florida that knocked off Tennessee last night. That was a guy that was at the on the list. And so Matt McMahon and Dennis Gates, that was the tie-in last night for Mizzou, and there was a clear and obvious better team. The way Missouri played, I didn't think that felt like a 10-point game. It felt like LSU was just kind of there and hovering around, and some big shots were then made, and all of a sudden you're like, how are they back within 9? How are they back within, I guess it was 11 for a number of possessions, and LSU kept missing threes, wide open threes that they were missing to get it within 8, and that would have been kind of a little nerve-wracking for Mizzou if that was the case, but they took care of business. They won the game, and now they get ready for Mississippi State on the road on Saturday, South Carolina on Tuesday at home, and then a tougher 3-game stretch for this Missouri team at Tennessee, at Auburn, and then home to A&M, an A&M team that beat you by 20 on the road. So the next 3 games after these 2. This was an opportunity with Ole Miss, LSU, Mississippi State, and then South Carolina. If you can go 3-4 or 3-1 in that stretch, you feel pretty good about Mizzou continuing in the SEC and continuing to build towards the NCAA tournament. They're 2-0. Beat Mississippi State and South Carolina, you feel even better. Split, which the most likely would be win against South Carolina at home, lose at Mississippi State this weekend. Be the most likely of the outcomes if you were to split. But beat Mississippi State this weekend, you're feeling pretty good about what they can do. And the way they're playing as well right now is sort of interesting, and just they are the Golden State Warriors right now of college basketball. In the last 3 games, they are 43 of 87 from behind the arc. They are 49.4% shooting from 3 on 87 attempts.
It's pretty good.
It's 30 a game.
You'll take that.
And they're hitting 50% of them. And Kobe Brown last night had 26 points, and he was 10 of 11 from the field. He missed 1 shot last night. He was phenomenal, and I'm not sure how many shots actually touched the rim for Kobe last night. So it was a good win for Mizzou. Now back it up with Mississippi State and South Carolina. They're doing what they need to do. They beat Mississippi, they beat Iowa State, and they beat LSU. The Iowa State wasn't one, Josh, that it was like you need to do that. Mm-hmm. That was kind of another feather in the cap, but it was you need to beat Mississippi, you need to beat LSU, you need to beat South Carolina, go steal one at Mississippi State. You go 4-0 in this stretch to where you can gain some wins and continue momentum for this SEC season and then get ready for a tougher stretch. You throw in Iowa State there as a win, you feel even better about that, and just the way this team is playing, that they are connected as much as I've seen a Missouri team connected since maybe that 2012 squad that was a 2 seed. It was a really good team, damn it, in 2012, no matter the result of the final game. But they were a team that just everybody felt like they were on the same page and knew where the other guys were. And this team shares the basketball so well, which ends up being open threes and good shots.
That's one thing that I think this Mizzou team and this K-State team both have in common for the first year of the new program is that they feel cohesive and real, legitimate at the same time right out of the gate, which we've talked about how difficult that is to do at the college level in the first year of a rebuild. And then to the point of, hey, look, you couldn't lose this game because you can let some air out of the balloon even if you're not filling it up anymore with a game like that. You go back to the loss against Alabama, and then let's say you do get it done at Mississippi State. You do get it done at home against South Carolina. There's only so much pain you can take from Tennessee the next week. Like you are on the road at Tennessee. Whatever they do to you is just something you're probably going to live with, because Mizzou's not saying we're Tennessee. They're saying we're a tournament team, and we belong in this conversation. We're being pointed in the right direction. So just continuing to win the games that you're supposed to win, even when you go back to like the losses back-to-back to A&M and Florida, it feels like quite a long time ago at this point. But figuring out where exactly you can sort of tier yourself, where you belong in a tier list in your own conference and in college ball altogether, that's something you can continue to do against the teams you're supposed to beat. Beating the teams you're supposed to beat, especially in college basketball, is not guaranteed and is important to continue to show some level of sustained success. And Mizzou has shown that. A toe stub here or there is no big deal. Losing to a really good Alabama and potentially in about a week and change, a really good Tennessee team, there's no shame in that with where Mizzou has started this season from. It's about continuing to show that you belong in a noteworthy class in college basketball. They've done that so far.
Yep, and the theme of this season that Dennis Gates talked about at the beginning of the year of what's something you want to see this team that tells you they're playing some good basketball, and he said the assist percentage, how many assists we're getting on field goals. They made 33 field goals last night. They had 26 assists. 26 out of 33 makes were assisted. And now when you knock down, 13 threes, more times than not, that three-pointer is going to get a pass from somebody. You're not really just taking somebody one-on-one step-back threes. That's not really what Mizzou does. Isaiah Mosley can do that. That's kind of it out of the guys that are going to be trying to cross somebody over and step-back three. Other than that, it's going to be passing the basketball, get an open shot, you knock down the three, there's an assist. So I think pretty much every three they made last night was assisted. So when you're knocking down shots and you're shooting a high percentage, you're going to have a lot of assists.
And a lot of this can end up being a Rorschach test where, like, if I go, and also, what do you think about a team that has a, 5-minute long scoring drought in the first half and also suffers virtually not at all for it? Like, LSU cut into the lead a little bit, but it wasn't like, and the Tigers come roaring back. The LSU Tigers come roaring back. Like, you can, again, look at it how you want. You can say they're playing good enough defense and they built themselves a cushion that at that point when the buckets weren't falling for a little while, it wasn't that big of a deal. That's kind of a good team. A drought going on that long, not ideal. Okay, fair enough. But again, that's where I think you're gauging these teams not in a vacuum, but by their own standards. Yeah. And that's why I think that we have this three-headed monster of local college basketball stories where all three of these teams are succeeding based on their own standards.
Yep. And last night, the minimum win probability for Mizzou was 87.3%. So they controlled that entire game.
Yep.
And including having almost a 20-point lead at one point in the second half. So we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Travis Kelce on the New Heights podcast weighed in on the back injury that he sustained and how close it was to Travis Kelce not playing against the Bengals. We'll hear that coming up next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
I'm kind of feeling like Twitter has less of a bot problem and more of a butt problem.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
We'll talk with Ross Tucker coming up at 11 o'clock, CBS, Westwood One. Cool deal for Valentine's Day that he's got. We'll tell you more about that at 11 o'clock. Chiefs press conferences coming up at 11:50. That will be Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes in TBD. No locker room access today. See what happens when Nate goes and Willie gets it, and then they just cut it off. Like, nope, not anymore. You guys had your chance. You blew it. Okay? Out here trying to cause controversy. My assumption is, hey guys, you're going to be talking so much next week that every single day there's going to be an hour of media availability where you're just sort of there waiting for people to come up and talk to you. You don't need to talk this. We're going to close the locker room this week. Get what you need to get done. Family, tickets, arrangements, all of that stuff. Deal with all of those things, but there will be no media in the locker room this week because starting Monday night, that's going to be a big part of your day, at least an hour a day until, Thursday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you are going to be talking for about an hour, at least available for an hour. So Thursday, Friday, you're good. Don't worry about it. It's probably the thinking. We just don't know who else is going to be at the podium today besides Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. It'll be coordinators tomorrow around 11:50 and then other players as well. So I don't know if Travis Kelce's going to be at the podium today or if he's going to be scheduled to be at the podium because the last two times he's been scheduled to be at the podium, he didn't end up making it to the podium. This one on Friday was because his back tightened up and he was getting treatment. We had no idea when it was, Kelce isn't going to do his media thing here today because he's getting treatment. Oh, okay, yeah, getting treatment. They're getting ready for Sunday. We didn't know how serious it was. We also, I guess, didn't really know the details of how serious it was until New Heights podcast came out. Here's Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce. They're brothers, and they're playing in the Super Bowl. Here they are talking about that back injury for Travis Kelce and how bad it was to the point to where, he may not have even played against the Bengals.
You were questionable. You want to talk about that? What was going on?
Man, I'll tell you what, that sucked, man. Mentally.
When did that happen? Because it happened late in the week.
Happened the second to last play of practice on Friday. And,
that's late.
Yeah, I just, I think just a little bit of fatigue got to me throughout the week into that practice. And I was feeling good going into that last period too. Everything felt great, and then I just moved the wrong way at the wrong, angle, and my back just locked up and fired up, man. And I was lucky that we got some of the best trainers in the world in Kansas City, and one of my guys, Alex Gase, my personal PT, to help me loosen everything up.
Jersey native, man.
Keep the ties close, baby.
Yeah,
keep it in the family. But yeah, we did it. It was unbelievable how much time I spent on my stomach just getting my back worked on and getting needles thrown into me and getting, just anything that could possibly help for Friday night, Saturday, the entire day, and then Sunday before the game. I mean, it was a 72-hour just focus on trying to get this thing loosened up. It was a game time decision. I woke up the morning of the game like, man, this thing is still tight. I can't fully straighten my back. I don't know if I'm going to be able to put, I haven't ran yet. I haven't done a squat or anything. I've been trying to just relax and let my body just heal. And it was a scary thought, man. For me, mentally, I was in a whole different place. I was trying not to just let it ruin my days, but that wasn't fun, man. And I was thankful that we have the trainers that we have: David Glover, Julie, Tiff, Evan Kraft, all my favorite people. Rick Burkholder, obviously the head trainer of the NFL PA, or not the athletic training PA that I believe. I hope I'm saying that right, Rick. But I love you guys. You guys have made my career, helped make my career what it is already, and definitely got me ready for this weekend. So,
Well, in the words of Pat McAfee, did you get any vitamin T before the game to help you get over this back pain?
Vitamin T? What's vitamin? Vitamin T.
You know what it is.
I was all jacked up on Mountain Dew, man.
You didn't do any vitamin T?
I had a whole bunch of.
You didn't get any vitamin T? I always take vitamin T. It's the best vitamin there is on game day. So
don't leave home with that.
I wonder if he did get some vitamin T.
I heard it yes in there, I think, in the midst of not answering.
I kind of heard that as well, that don't leave home without it. It's the best of it. Jason, I get it every day. Every game day. Every game day I get the vitamin T. It's the best thing ever for game day. Need that. I am really glad I did not know the details of that until last night hearing it, because my weekend would have been ruined stressing over whether or not Kelsey was going to play. Because I just spent Saturday and Sunday assuming like he's going to play. Yes, his back kind of tightened up on him. Kelsey ain't missing this game. And it certainly sounded like in that clip, Josh, that he thought there was a chance that he might miss that game, that he was saying, I was trying to not let it just ruin my day. I wasn't in a good headspace because I couldn't move it. I couldn't straighten my back. And he even woke up Sunday not being able to straighten his back up, and still goes out there and plays. And it is unreal, the back injury for Kelsey and the ankle injury for Patrick Mahomes. If either of those are worse than what they ended up being in the game, we're talking about Bengals and Eagles right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's just another example of how thin the margin can be between the teams that do advance, the players who do play. I listening to Kelsey post-game after the NFC Championship game, he kind of gave a little bit of light to that from the podium of going, yeah, it was kind of touch and go there for a little bit. It was not a guarantee that I'd be out here, and I was surprised to hear that, because I also had been under the assumption that there was some sort of load management, veteran player kind of resting through the weekend, and they'd get it figured out. Ultimately, I wonder how much worse it would have had to have been for him to not be out there, period.
True.
But at the very least, the margin between him being as effective and being Travis bleeping Kelsey to where he was perhaps on the side of being a decoy who doesn't have the steps and who can't literally carry a team with him or a couple defenders for a few extra yards. It sounds like the risk of that not being there was pretty high.
Anybody that's had a back injury or back tighten up or just trying to move around knows how debilitating that can be. I mean, I am not going to make light of how difficult it was for Patrick Mahomes to get out there and play with that ankle injury, but you're more likely to be able to go out there and push through with a, lesser than, ankle, with a compromised ankle, than a compromised back. It ended Mitchell Schwartz's career. Back injury, never returned to play, ended up retiring. And the fact that it locked up on him to where he couldn't move, and he spent most of the weekend on his stomach with needles and all of the treatment and everything. And I always sort of kind of feel like maybe it's just a worry that happens, but think into the treatment that Patrick Mahomes got the whole week, and then how specific Travis Kelce's treatment had to be, and with a fine point to this is what we have to do now, the next hour, after that, until leading up to 2 hours before game time. 3:30 on Sunday is the goal that you need to be ready. If there's like a chiropractic like misstep along the way, or like you pop this over there and it's like, okay, that actually inflamed it more. Well, now he's not playing. Like how spot on and good they have to be to make sure that everything goes the way that it's supposed to go, to be able to relieve that inflammation for Travis Kelce to be out there and play. It always worries me a little bit, like just a misstep here and a misstep there, and all of a sudden it inflames it and makes it worse. I've talked about the bad neck injury that I had, and there were a couple times that I went to the chiropractor to get it worked out, and I left and it was much worse. It was inflamed, it was hurting, and I'm like, okay, that was a mistake. I'm trying to do too much, okay? Just trying to get it fixed right now. that you never know what's going to help and what's not going to help, but they do. Right? They do. So, like I say, never know what's going to help, what's not going to help. They do, and they immediately come up with a plan for Travis Kelce. Your back's tightened up. Here's what's going on. All right, it is 1 o'clock on Friday. We got till 3:30 on Sunday to get this figured out. Come up with a plan right now. Figure it out. Julie came up with a plan to figure out with Patrick Mahomes the second his ankle injury happened. Every day, here's what you're doing. Here's the time you're going to be spent. This is the treatment. This is the rehab to get you ready for Sunday, 5:30. Sunday, 5:30 with Travis Kelce. It's amazing what they can do, and it goes back to what we were talking about organizationally for everybody stepping up and being able to play their role. But it still makes it even more like, boy, there's so many things that kind of have to fall in your favor a little bit along the way through the course of a season for you to be in this spot. Attrition, injuries, and we spent that week talking about how healthy the Chiefs were.
Yeah.
And that is a punch to the face and not knocking on wood enough to saying, the Chiefs are finally getting healthy. And then Kelce gets injured in practice. And then Snead and Gay and Juju and Kadarius Toney and McCole and Trey Smith gets banged up and Pacheco gets banged up in that game. And it's like now the big question for this game is how healthy are the Chiefs going to be? It's amazing what can change in 1 week.
And I think it's also it's an interesting time to put this week into context. And like you said, I mean, the guys on the estimated injury report yesterday would have been Gay and Smith being limited, and then Hardman, Juju, Snead, and Toney not practicing. We'll obviously get real practice reports today, and that will be more relevant than that one was. Mm-hmm. But just in terms of how they left the AFC Championship game, with now what we've heard about the Mahomes and Kelce injuries and rehabs and all of that goes with it, puts into context a little bit what this week is going to look like for the Chiefs, for these players, for the training staff, and just the overall Herculean effort it's going to take to get these guys into playing shape. The good news is they have the extra week this time.
Yep.
I don't know how much better Patrick Mahomes might have looked if it would have been 2 weeks before the Bengals. I don't know how much better he might look with 2 weeks before the Eagles. I don't know if it's going to be enough for McCole Hardman, who was on IR, then off IR, then still inactive, and then came back and then left again. They do this on purpose, obviously. We don't really know what's going on with any of these injuries. We might get some light mention. Andy Reid didn't even tell us what degree Patrick Mahomes' ankle was sprained to. I don't think the Chiefs ever said that it was a sprained ankle. They certainly, if they did, it was after the initial reports, and then someone was like, so there's reports that it's a sprained ankle. I think Andy Reid may have said, like, that's accurate.
High ankle sprain, yeah.
So you can get, it's not quite hockey, lower body, upper body, but it's pretty darn close. And again, that's on purpose. We still don't know what has kept McCole Hardman out for the majority of the season. But behind closed doors, with all those details very much being known in the facilities, again, just sort of puts into context what it means for these guys to hopefully be out there for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and we'll see. And in that clip, too, was kind of illuminating that Travis Kelce was like, I felt really good there, but, maybe it was just tired, tired the whole week, the week leading up to it. And kind of sounds like, is it physically or just emotionally tired? And when I heard that, in that clip, one of the first things I thought about was, man, how beneficial is that 1 week bye week? Yep. If he was mentally drained the week leading into the Bengals after just having a week off a couple of weeks ago, going through the full season, you get a week off, you play the Jags, and then you're sort of just drained at that point. Leading into the AFC Championship game, it's huge. And it's one of the reasons why I thought, I wondered what the Bengals would look like when they had to play the Ravens back-to-back games, and an emotionally draining game in winning against the Ravens, in which felt like they probably could lose that one. And then the week leading up to the Bills, putting everything into that of we're getting disrespected, we're going to go out there and show them, and you win that one. And then now you might have felt like you beat the Russians, but now you got to go and beat Finland, and you got to go and take care of business there. And the Chiefs had the week off before the Jags, and still it felt like they were kind of drained. And luckily there's another week off this week as well. Hey, real quick, just a little, I don't know. I mean, I hate doing this little pat on the back. I mean, I don't know. Did you hear?
You're about to.
Did you hear Garrett? But I hate doing it.
No,
though.
I know you hate it.
Yeah. Did you hear Garrett Dieter this morning talking about Sky Moore and returning punts?
I didn't. I'm really excited, though.
Yeah.
Did he agree with you by any chance?
No, he didn't. He totally disagreed with me, or he did the exact opposite. I'm not sure. It's written down here, so I guess we'll listen to it. With
Yeah, that's what when I see a piece of sound on the show sheet, I know we're gonna play it. Every day we play everything on the show sheet. This can be no exception.
No matter what, let's hear what this says. I have not heard this one before. This is Gary Dieter talking about Sky Moore returning punts.
It didn't seem like that punter was hitting the best balls all day, and that one was a little flatter, which those ones are a lot easier to catch when you say you have Tommy on the other end kicking a ball mile in the sky. That one's a lot tougher as a returner. You're thinking a lot more. You feel that pressure, but when he punts it like he did, and there's nobody within 20 yards, you get a lot of confidence to catch that ball. And once you catch it, like he said, once he gets the ball in his hands, that's not the problem.
I mean, wow, that's interesting to think about with Sky Moore and whether you had faith in him back there as a punt returner or not.
I mean, Jason, you're basically an NFL wide receiver.
That's what I've said.
That's what I'm hearing there.
I mean, 1 catch, 11 yards. How is that not good enough?
I look.
Kind of felt like it was kind of obvious, though, right? Like
your
when
your
it's a
body,
line drive punt.
Your body failed you. Okay, that's
right.
what it was. But
It's a knee.
you know ball.
Knee, back, neck, all of that.
You know special teams. We've often said that.
I know balls. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Did you hear Max Crosby?
He agree with you too?
No. Did you hear Max Crosby?
I actually think he did agree with you on this one as well.
He did. He went in on Joey Bosa yesterday. Max Crosby, Joey Bosa. I don't think they're friends. We'll hear that next.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
I did a ton of Sporkle quizzes back in the day. A ton.
I did 0 of them.
Oh, Jason, I'm not a joke. You would love it.
He would.
It's basically single-player trivia, but you get to pick the categories. It really is great.
No, I'm fine. So
let's go bleep myself, I guess.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Tex says, will Justin Watson play? I'd be shocked if he didn't. He was sick. I think a couple things went into that. He was sick and didn't practice the last couple of days on Thursday, Friday. And without Lamons, they needed to activate Marcus Kemp.
Yep.
And so it's like, okay, he's sick. He didn't practice. We need Marcus Kemp. This is an easy decision here. We'll just make Justin Watson inactive. But it's not a big deal because McCole Hardman and Kadarius Toney are now healthy. So it's all good. They won't need Justin Watson.
My understanding is that he was a borderline healthy scratch.
Yeah.
And then everybody in front of him was not healthy by the end of the game, and I'm guessing they would have loved to have him. But yeah, he'll be out there.
Yeah.
And then in your base personnel, as things stand right now, it could be, again, we did this for Fact or Fiction, I guess, but Justin Watson, MVS, and Sky Moore out there, like, that's not what you'd like to see. But could Patrick Mahomes make that work with Travis Kelce and Noah Gray and Jody Fortson all in the mix? Maybe.
I think he can.
It's not very comfy. I don't feel great about it.
Because the most recent Super Bowl, it was a makeshift offensive line.
Yep.
And you don't want this Super Bowl to be a makeshift receiving core.
And in fairness, Mahomes made that makeshift offensive line work. He was hitting dudes in the face. He was horizontal, throwing beautiful balls.
Now imagine a makeshift wide receiving core. That was the good wide receiving core that he was hitting guys in the face.
Yeah,
and
that would be
Tyreek Hill dropped a touchdown, almost the same as Kadarius Toney. First drive against the Bengals, Kadarius Toney, ball goes right through his hands. First drive against the Bucks, Tyreek Hill jumps, ball goes right through his hands. It's a touchdown. Let's hear Max Crosby, who apparently is not friends with Joey Bosa. Turns out.
A couple games ago, when dude had a meltdown and blaming the refs, and I see dudes blaming, old linemen hold all the time, refs don't call it. Like, I'll never be that guy, bro. You know, shit like that is so weak to me. Like, you're gonna get held. Like, I know I get held all the time, bro. You watch the Rams' last drive against us, bro. I was getting literally tackled. But I'm not gonna go and double down and go look like a little crybaby. You know what I mean? That's not me.
Hey, Max, what do you really think of Joey Bosa?
I wish the Chiefs had Max Crosby.
Man, I really like him.
I do too.
And I like the fact he just didn't hold back. Like, this is what I think of a guy who does that.
What does Max Crosby have to hide? Nothing.
Hey, Willie
Who's he afraid of? Nobody.
Oh, man. Tex says, can't even imagine having to be a pro football player, have a back problem. I walk for a living. Having a back problem is freaking awful. Yeah. Luckily, it wasn't like a back injury like Mitchell Schwartz, but doesn't mean it's easy to play through.
Violent.
You're in the zone.
Perfect sports radio right there. That's great. It's awesome. Worst thing ever. Dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
With Jason Anderson.
I kind of agree with both.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco and Beards. We head up until 2 o'clock. We'll hear from the Chiefs coming up later on this hour as we'll hear from Andy Reid. We'll hear from Patrick Mahomes and Nick Bolton and Frank Clark. Playoff Frank. We'll hear from them as get closer and closer to the Chiefs heading to Phoenix for Super Bowl 57. Right now, let's bring in Ross Tucker, CBS Westwood One, joining us here in the zone to talk about this Chiefs-Eagles matchup, a little primer preview to what will go on just about 9-10 days from now. Ross, welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing awesome, Jason. Good to talk with you. Thanks for having me.
Well, I appreciate you joining us. Before we start talking some football with you, I wanted to start off with the myfrontpagestory.com that you have. I remember hearing about this last year and how cool it is, but let the people know what this is, Valentine's, Mother's Day, whatever it might be, the myfrontpagestory.com.
Well, especially with Valentine's Day coming up here in 12 days, I know a lot of guys listening have not gotten in their significant others anything yet. You guys got to check this out. I mean, you talk to one of their writers for 10 minutes while you're driving home from work, or you just fill out like 5 email questions. They write the most unbelievable story about your wife. It looks like it's on the cover of the newspaper. I mean, it's framed, beautiful, with pictures of the two of you, maybe the kids, whatever. And just to be able to say to her, Jay, hey, babe, I want to do something special for you this year, so I had a story written about you. Like, that just sounds amazing. Like, wait, what? You had a story written about me? Like, what do you mean you had a story written about me? And then she sees it, reads the quotes from you about how much she means to you, how much you appreciate all the little things she does for the family. They cry almost every time. I can't possibly recommend it high enough. MyFrontPageStory.com. Then, because it's framed, it'll be hanging up in the house forever. So it's like the gift that keeps on giving. MyFrontPageStory.com.
Ross Tucker is our guest. What's the timeline, you think? Because I don't know about you, Ross, but men known to procrastinate with these things. What would be the timeline where you'd say, you know what, you get it done by this time, or you may be, needing to give her that just after Valentine's?
Yeah, I would say ASAP because it usually takes about a week for them to do it. So if you wait till next week, it's going to be too late for you to get it in time for Valentine's Day. So I would just pull it up on your phone right now, myfrontpagestory.com, so that you can start it up when you get to where you're going or you don't forget about it. If you order it, today or tomorrow or this week, they'll definitely be able to get it to you by Valentine's Day. No problem over at myfrontpagestory.com.
Ross Tucker's our guest, CBS Westwood One. You were on the sideline there for the 49ers and Eagles game, and, the start of that seemed like it was going to be a compelling game, but, not much you can do when you've got your third and fourth quarterback on the season, and then even McCaffrey trying to throw some passes in that game. Is there much to take away from that game for the Eagles, you think, or is it one of those to where there's really nothing the 49ers could have done to be able to overcome the obstacle and climb up that hill with an offense that just could not pass?
Well, I think the takeaways from it, in my mind, would just be how much better the Eagles were up front.
Yeah,
on both sides of the ball. I mean, this is a Niners team that had the number one run defense in the NFL, and at times, they seem powerless against the Eagles' offensive line, which is by far the best in the NFL. I mean, they couldn't stop them. I mean, those guys were just getting run off the ball. They were getting beat up. And then even when Josh Johnson was playing and the Niners still had a quarterback, they could not block the Eagles up front.
Yeah.
I mean, they couldn't block Reddick, couldn't block Sue. They just couldn't block them. And so the big takeaway, for me at least, was that kind of already knew this, but the Eagles have the best O-line in the league and probably the best D-line in the league too. And, man, I can't remember the last time one team had both those at the same time.
The matchup of Bengals Chiefs, last week going into that game, there was a lot of talk around here that certainly we discussed on the show of the obvious advantage for the Chiefs is that defensive line that's second in the league in sacks going up against a injured offensive line for the Bengals. That's obviously not the case this week. It's a massively different offensive line for the Eagles than what the Bengals had. What do you think of that matchup with the Chiefs' defensive line? They were second in the league in sacks behind the Eagles, but this will be the best offensive line that they go up against. Do you think the Chiefs' defensive line is, we look ahead a little bit, do you think the Chiefs' defensive line can do enough to whether it's slow down the running game or put pressure on Jalen Hurts to help out the younger secondary?
Well, two different things there, right? So, number one, they got to get him in the third down first. I mean, they have a chance, I think, to be able to get pressure on Hurts if they get the Eagles into obvious passing downs, third down, because of how good Chris Jones is, because of, I think, how good Mike Dana is. I think they can get some pressure on Hurts. But you got to get him in the third and long. You got to get him in these obvious passing downs, to which I say good luck. I just don't know that the Chiefs have the depth on the D-line to withstand what's going to come at them. Like, if I'm the Chiefs, if I'm Spags, I'm putting the extra safety in the box because otherwise the Eagles are going to run you out of the building. I'm taking my chances that Hurts doesn't hit those throws down the sideline like he didn't against the Niners. He didn't really even play that well against the Niners, which is what's so crazy about the Eagles winning by so much.
Yeah. Ross Tucker's our guest from CBS and Westwood One. As we talk about that Chiefs defensive line and Chris Jones and what he was able to do against the Bengals and just wreck that game, and Hassan Reddick, we know what he was able to do and getting in on, Brock Purdy. And, it was unfortunate what happened to Brock Purdy, but it happened because he was hit by, Hassan Reddick, who was, who has been so good this year. Who do you think is more or could be a bigger impact on the game next Sunday? Chris Jones for the Chiefs or Hassan Reddick for the Eagles?
Reddick. And it's Reddick because the vulnerability on the Chiefs' O-line is their tackles. Orlando Brown and Wiley. Whereas, for the Eagles, I guess they could try to put Chris Jones over Landon Dickerson or Sayamalu and hope they get some one-on-one matchups there and win them. But it's a little bit easier to double-team an inside guy, especially when the other guys are not dominant, whereas you double-team Reddick, boy, then Fletcher Cox and Davon Hargrave and Sweat and Brandon Graham, they're all one-on-one. Eagles play a lot of five-man fronts to go ahead and get you into one-on-one blocking situations, and most O-lines cannot hold up against that group.
Interesting. Visiting with Ross Tucker. One of the other things I've seen, at least thrown out there, is, and it wouldn't be to where Spagnuolo would be, finding some secret serum that nobody else has seen, but there was a comment of, do the Chiefs put Chris Jones right over Jason Kelce if he's a guy that pulls a lot in their run scheme, and Jones, as fast as he is, and we've seen when he's right over a pulling guard, that he can shoot the gap and be in the backfield. Would that be maybe a strategy or a scheme that Steve Spagnuolo could utilize to maybe slow down the pulling Jason Kelce, who's so athletic? If it's Chris Jones, that would be right there to shoot the gap and maybe stop that pull before it happens? Or is that just like, it sounds good, but there have probably been plenty of other defensive coordinators that have thought, hey, what if we put our big defensive lineman right over Jason Kelsey and try to limit them from being able to pull him?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times they do that. But it's kind of pick your poison, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, if you're going to put your best player inside like that, and they can just double team him, and I don't think Chris Jones wants to just be eating double teams with Landon Dickerson all day. I mean, Landon Dickerson is a monster. The left side of the O-line for the Eagles, people don't know about these two young guys. Mailata is 6'8", 380, and looks like he has no fat on him and moves well. Like, he's maybe the biggest dude I've ever seen. And then Dickerson next to him is like 6'6.5", 345, and they just maul people. They kind of get overshadowed by Kelsey and by Lane Johnson because those guys are Hall of Fame caliber players. They're the best in the league in their position. But the left side of the O-line is just – those two guys are monsters.
Ross Tucker's our guest. Last one for you. Ross Tucker, CBS and Westwood One. Jalen Hurts' shoulder. We know Patrick Mahomes' ankle is not 100% and probably won't be in that game. But how close to 100% is Jalen Hurts' shoulder? Is it fine? Does he still favor it? Is it limiting him in any way, shape, or form?
Good question. He hasn't played great the last couple weeks. He certainly hasn't played as well as he played before the injury. So he played well enough against the Giants that people felt pretty good about it. But he's still not quite where he was earlier in the year. And he's been very open about the fact that it's bothering him. Very open about the fact that he's not 100%.
Yeah, we'll see how that will impact Ross Tucker, CBS, Westwood One, and myfrontpagestory.com. Ross, really appreciate the time. Thank you so much. Enjoy the Super Bowl, and hopefully we got a good one on our hands.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Thanks so much for having me, Jay.
Absolutely. There's a there we go.
First time I thought it was probably shortening Jason, like a little like friendly.
Yeah,
Hey, thanks, Jay.
like I just
That time I'm not sure.
electrocuted there. Very jarring. I think on the stream you could probably see me that.
You got tased a little bit.
What was that? Oh no! So getting ready to put him on hold. Thank you. Yep. Get out of here.
Hey, look,
Leave me alone!
If you were a mere moment away from being forced to talk to Beards again, wouldn't you hang up first?
You know, it's a great point. It's a great point. Kind of sounded like he was like, you know what? I just need to get a drink of water. Need to do something to, might be battling a cold or something. MyFrontPageStory.com is where you can go. It's actually a really, really cool gift and a great idea for Valentine's Day. But thank you to Ross Tucker. Sounds like the Chiefs are playing maybe the greatest team at the line of scrimmage in the history.
That offensive line's really, really good.
It is really good.
That's all fair.
It is really good.
I think Chris Jones will still have an impact.
Mm-hmm.
Be my personal hunch.
I would guess. But
I think Ross believes he will also have an impact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably. Jalen Hurts, since returning from the injury, 57%, 229 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. 66% passing against the Giants, 154 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And against the 49ers, 60% passing, 121 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. And in those games, he's had 13 rushing yards, 34 rushing yards, and 39 rushing yards. He has not been the same quarterback that he was when he was looking like an MVP. Because, he got injured against the Bears. And in that game, he had 315 yards. He had 2 interceptions and no touchdowns in that one. But he also had 3 rushing touchdowns in that game. The previous 4 weeks, he had 9 touchdowns and no interceptions. The previous 4 weeks, 1 touchdown the week before that. So he had a run of Touchdowns to interceptions, 2-0, 4-0, 2-0, 2-1, 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 2-0. Then he got injured against the Bears, and then it's 0-1, 2-0, 0-0. So 2 touchdowns and 1 interception since returning from the injury, and 2 rushing touchdowns.
The Chiefs need to find one of those little advantages somewhere, right? Like
Yes,
I think these two teams are very narrowly matched, but whenever you have the extent to which the Chiefs are banged up, if you get a fully healthy Eagles team against this version of the Chiefs, I think most people would be wise to take the Eagles. The inverse would also be true. If you get some terribly banged up Eagles team against a perfectly healthy Chiefs, health is going to win out. So in a case like this, where both of these teams are banged up, heading into, obviously, the very last game of the season, all of those little... How much did we just talk about Travis Kelce's back and Patrick Mahomes' ankle and all these other guys in the injury report? This is the most important / most frustrating / least fun determining factor in football is just health.
Mm-hmm.
And Hurts having some limitations. It'll be interesting to see what he looks like after getting an extra week this time.
They scored 4 touchdowns, did the Eagles, against the 49ers. And then they kicked a field goal as well. One of those touchdowns, they started at the San Francisco 30-yard line. The field goal, they started at the San Francisco 40-yard line. And the first possessions of the game for the Eagles and 49ers completely changed that entire game. The entire game. And I still think the Eagles win because I think the Eagles were the better team, even if Brock Purdy ended up playing that whole game. But the Eagles' first possession was 4th down and 1, and we know Devontae Smith dropped the ball. He did not catch it. They end up scoring a touchdown. And 3 plays into the 49ers' first drive, Brock Purdy tears his UCL. They're done at that point. I mean, Josh Johnson's trying to play. Those 2 plays were the entire game. Because the next 3 possessions for the Eagles, 3 and out, 4 plays punt, 3 and out. 3 straight punts after that. It would have been turnover on downs and then not getting anything going after that. And who knows what, could have happened from that point moving forward. Because, remember, late in the first half, that game was still tied at 7 apiece.
Yep. And
the 49ers did not have a quarterback.
Yep.
That was 7-7. McCaffrey's 23-yard run, which was a phenomenal run.
Outrageous.
And great if you had the DraftKings boost for McCaffrey anytime touchdown. Hopefully you
sure
did.
Was, yeah.
That was nice. It was 7-7 until the final 2 minutes of the half, and then the Eagles score back-to-back touchdowns in the final minute and a half, and all of a sudden it's 21-7 going into half. You're like, well, what just happened there?
What I'm hearing is that
How did that take place?
the NFL said, hey, that was a catch from Devontae Smith, and also Brock Purdy. Bad news for you this week.
Yeah, what a terrible script for Brock Purdy to have to tear his
Really
ACL.
unfortunate.
Yes.
But they gave him such a good... He's going to get paid off what the NFL wrote for him in the last several weeks, So he's kind of paying the price for the good story, and the NFL got the matchup they wanted.
That is absolutely true. And on that touchdown, when it was 7-7, late in the first half, on the touchdown drive, the Eagles converted a 3rd and 2, a 4th and 1, a 3rd and 6, and a 3rd and 2 to eventually score the touchdown. And then 2 plays later, Josh Johnson just fumbled the snap. It was a snap on the shotgun, that highlight that they've shown, and drops it, dives to his right. Somehow he doesn't recover it. And then the Eagles score on that possession, and they get 2 touchdowns. And again, credit the Eagles, because against the 49ers defense, they converted 3rd and 2, 4th and 1, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 2 to continue that drive to go and score a touchdown. That's against a really good defense in the 49ers. And then they took advantage of a turnover and scored. But that was the game, the final 2 minutes of that half. If the 49ers somehow get off the field and get to halftime 7-7, could be a completely different game. So, he's right. Ross Tucker, as he said, Hurts hasn't been that same quarterback. But he's going to have an extra week. So maybe that shoulder starts to heal a little bit more, and he starts to hit some of those passes down the field that he wasn't really connecting with in that game against the 49ers. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. More Zone next.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
They've been firm up front.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Thank you to Ross Tucker. We'll hear from the Chiefs. We'll hear from Andy Reid. We'll hear from Patrick Mahomes, Nick Bolton, and Frank Clark will be at the podium today. Coordinator day tomorrow. Then the Chiefs will head to Phoenix on Sunday. Travel day for the Chiefs. Thank you to Ross Tucker. You know, we were talking about that swing in the game in the NFC Championship game. And I got to say that I think the officials kind of screwed over the 49ers in that one.
It's about time somebody said it.
I feel like, yeah, that game was a wider margin, but if it wasn't for the officials giving the game to the 49ers or giving the game to the Eagles, it's crazy. Because, you know, the Devontae Smith one, first of all, I mean, that was obvious that it was the fix was in on that one, that they didn't have the eye in the sky come down.
They couldn't even hide it. I mean, unbelievable.
And fix that one.
Shameless.
And then before half, we talked about the conversions for the Eagles, 3rd and 2, 4th and 1, a 3rd and 6 that they converted. And that 3rd and 6 ended up being pass interference on Jimmy Ward, on A.J. Brown, and boy, was that a bad call. It was almost intercepted. The Eagles were going to be punting, and it was just a terrible call. I mean, just you can't overcome the other team and all the officials. It's ridiculous.
It's just impossible. Frankly, the NFL should step
right.
in. Which is why I'm starting a change.org petition to give us the 49ers versus Bengals Super Bowl that we all deserve.
In all seriousness, no. I mean, it was a questionable call, and the Devontae Smith catch did not happen. Those are big things that happen in a game. They do. I don't think the 49ers were going to be able to win that one anyway. Even if Brock Purdy played, I thought the Eagles were the better team. Now, you can say, yeah, but you just got through talking about it being 7-7. I'm not saying the Eagles were going to beat them by 2 touchdowns if Brock Purdy played. I'm saying I think the Eagles would have found a way to win in the end, and it would still be Eagles and Chiefs if Brock Purdy ended up playing. But I also say that as, you know, someone that has not been impressed with the way that Jalen Hurts has played as of late. He did miss some receivers in that game against the 49ers. He overthrew some guys. He underthrew a couple of receivers. Charvarius Ward had some pretty damn good coverage at points in that game. And what the 49ers were doing, and I wonder if Steve Spagnuolo is going to do this, he's got younger cornerbacks. He doesn't have the, well, hopefully Snead is out there. But he doesn't have the veterans that the 49ers do as corners. But he left those guys on an island. He was going one-on-one with Charvarius Ward on the outside, whether that was with Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown. I don't remember off the top of my head the cornerback on the other side of Charvarius Ward because Jimmy Ward is in the slot, and he was letting those guys man up. He was manning up. I mean, they had a safety back there, but they were playing man coverage for the most part on those receivers and saying, we're going to let the guys stop the run and limit Jalen Hurts to not run and pick up 60, 70 yards. And we're going to bank on our corners to make the plays on the passes from Jalen Hurts, and we're going to challenge him to make those throws. We're going to challenge him to put those throws in positions to where his guys can go up and make a play. And guess what? Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown can absolutely do that. So that can burn you. That can get you. Because we saw, Spagnuolo do that a couple of times against the Bengals and against different teams. I mean, it was 3rd down 13-6 in that game on Sunday, and it was 3rd down, and they threw the pass to T. Higgins, the touchdown over Jalen Watson. I mean, that was Jalen Watson, T. Higgins, one-on-one, had a little safety help over the top, but that was just, getting there late. It was just 3rd down and I believe 6, and there was pressure, and Joe Burrow said, I'm going to give my guy T. Higgins a chance against the rookie Jalen Watson. And T. Higgins won, and it was a great throw. It was a throw put in a position where T. Higgins can go and high point it and catch the ball. Does Jalen Hurts, is he able to do that? And that's with, an offense that you're not really worried about Joe Burrow's legs the way you are Jalen Hurts' legs. You're worried about Joe Burrow in being slippery in the pocket, as they called him, like he's creative or, he can slip through different things. You're worried about Jalen Hurts just gashing you for 25 yards on a run.
Yeah,
or 30 yards on a run.
The Eagles' pure passing game is not a lot of rungs, but a rung below where the Bengals is at. But what you gain by having the respect of a defense with your quarterback's legs is not only do you have the threat of it whenever he does drop back to pass, and you have to be ready to clean up whatever he could do after that. It's also in the running game, you end up having a greater benefit to your backs when you have the threat of maybe the quarterback just still has his football and he's taking it to the outside. Like, there's so much window dressing you can do when your quarterback is a legitimate running threat. So to see how the Chiefs handle that's going to be interesting. It was obvious that once Snead went out especially, it ended up just being sort of a somebody hold on with T. Higgins because we are doubling Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is getting help, and then we're getting, hopefully, a corner who's ready for the assignment against wide receiver 2. I think we could see something similar to that against the Eagles, where it's, hey, hopefully Snead's out there, right? And I don't know if they're going to plan for him to travel, depending on how healthy he is or how soon he gets back to practice. I have no idea. But maybe we're just going to go ahead and say, you got a guy and safety help on A.J. Brown, and then if Devontae Smith beats us a couple times, he beats us a couple times, but that's Jalen Watson or Trent McDuffie or L'Jarius Snead's job one-on-one. The interesting thing, though, is that the Eagles are a better running team than the Bengals are by a substantial amount, not just from the quarterback position, but as an offense and with what that line can do. So can you sell out quite so hard to keep the passing game in front of you is going to be a fascinating question, because I think the Chiefs' corners should have earned your trust by now, right? Like, they have shown you they were ready for big moments. But will the entire defense be able to function the way they did against the Bengals while having to account for the fact that the Eagles are much more dangerous on the ground?
And it's another good offense, but it's a different offense than what you just went up against. You're going up against a quarterback that isn't as accurate as the one you just faced, is not going to put the ball in places that it's like, okay, if you paused it and walked over there, this is where you would put the ball, and Burrow can do that. So you're not going to get that from Jalen Hurts. The skill position players are different. A.J. Brown's better than T. Higgins, but Devontae Smith isn't as good as Jamar Chase. But Goddard is better than Hayden Hurst. So those three, are they better than Chase, Higgins, and Hurst? I actually think yes. Chase is the best among all of them. But again, I think A.J. Brown is better than T. Higgins, and Dallas Goedert is better than Hayden Hurst. So is Jamar Chase that much better than Devontae Smith to make up for the other two spots that are better? They don't have the high end.
Would you definitely take Devontae Smith over T. Higgins if you flip those guys around?
If you said A.J. Brown versus Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith and T. Higgins?
I think I would give the Bengals the slight edge on the number 1. I'd give the Eagles the slight edge on number 2, probably. I love T. Higgins, and specifically what he does I think is incredible. But Devontae Smith was a higher draft pick with good reason.
I guess I was just looking body type instead of like true number.
Sure,
like
that
AJ.
makes sense. Yeah, sure.
But if you go that way, that's a better way of doing it. The number 1s, A.J. Brown and Jamar Chase, versus the number 2s of Devontae Smith and T. Higgins.
They're both a couple of the best duos in football.
Yes, absolutely. And the Eagles throw in Dallas Goedert as opposed to Hayden Hurst.
Per James Palmer, Eagles will be wearing green during the Super Bowl. Chiefs will be wearing white.
That was 2 days ago.
We've known that for a while now, and people keep tweeting it out like it's new news.
That was news.
And then we've also had people tweeting that the Chiefs are wearing white on white for several days, and I don't love that.
I don't think they're wearing white on
I'd like to see the red pants. I like the red pants.
How about those red pants?
I support the red pants.
I like the white on red. It's more traditional.
I do too.
It's a good look. I know that they, the white on whites, the icicles, the stormtroopers, whatever you want to call it. I think they're a slick looking uniform too, but I think more traditional of this is the Chiefs. This is what they wear. White on red.
Red pants are nice, man.
The red pants are nice.
They're a nice accent.
Yeah.
They don't. The rest of the league doesn't do a lot of red pants.
Just go. How about those red pants? Just go white on red. I think they're going to go white on red. I don't think they're going to change it up. It doesn't seem like the Chiefs aren't the ones to come up with an alternate helmet like the Bengals have the white and black helmet. The Chiefs are going to have that helmet forever. And I don't think they're going to be the team that on the biggest stage in the Super Bowl are going to switch up the color scheme from what their traditional road unis would be. I think they're going to go with their traditional road unis.
I'm trying to see if they've confirmed anywhere what the pants will be here. Although, just so you know, before the traditionalists come after you, that Lynn Dawson smoking a cigarette with the Fresca.
It was white on white.
That's white on white there.
I know.
That would be kind of neat.
That maybe, you know what? Maybe that's what they do. Maybe they go white on white in honor of Lynn Dawson, and they all smoke cigarettes and drink Frescas at halftime.
I would like that. Look, it smelled like cigar smoke out there last week. Maybe this week we're getting some menthols.
Patrick Mahomes said, I don't know that we have cigars, but we're ready for the Super Bowl. Well, you know what? Do you have menthols? Do you have a Marlboro? Do you have an Fresca?
He's gonna have a pack rolled up in his sleeve under his uniform.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the way to do it. Maybe just one loose one behind his ear or something.
Yeah, I know the Chiefs have worn white on white a lot. As long as it ain't ever red on red.
Red on red is the worst.
Burn those.
That's the worst of the options, right? We're on the same page here.
Yeah, and they can't be that because the Eagles are the home team, so they're wearing the dark green.
Let's do it. Let's rank our top 4 here real quick. I want to hear your top 4. You got 4 Chiefs uniform combos. You got your monochromes, red, white, white, and then your traditional home, traditional road.
Red over white, white over red, white over white, red over red.
I agree with you.
Okay.
Glad we got that knocked out.
You know what? Let me switch it up.
Whoa.
Red over red,
Wow.
number 1.
Jason, I agree with you.
I mean, I'm fine with either because I do think the white on whites look slick, but I'm okay with more of just this is.
The Chiefs have 3 good looks, and also red over red.
They have 3 good looks and what in the hell are you doing?
They have 3 good looks and a blood clot uniform, which does not make sense to me.
Yes, and also even if you take out the fact that they're terrible in games when they wear those uniforms, it's still a bad look.
Just bad aesthetics.
But then you throw that in there, and it's like it's just bad memories. Just don't do it. Just get rid of it.
Don't need that.
Just burn them. Burn them. But yeah, I think it's going to be white on red. But you know what? I also don't care because I know it's going to be the Chiefs jersey in the Super Bowl.
Wow.
How about that?
How about that?
Yeah, so there you go, huh? Yeah. But as we were saying, like looking at
the Chiefs worn. I'm sorry, the Chiefs wear red every year they've been in the Super Bowl till now, right? That would make sense. On year, off year, on year. So this is their they won it in red against the Niners. They lost it in red against the Bucks.
No, back to back, they wouldn't have worn red in both of them because it's every other year as to who the home team is. Weren't the Chiefs?
Were they in white against the Niners?
How do I not?
I feel like they were in red against the Niners, but I'm checking now.
I feel like
they were in red. They were in red both of those games. You know what? You know what? The Buccaneers might have chosen to wear white. They've done that. They've done that before.
Okay, so the home team will get the choice. So then the home team can choose whether they want to wear their darks or their lights.
I mean, that's what it's got to be, right? Because the Bucs are listed as the home team.
Yeah, they were definitely.
And
the
they
home team
also
there.
wore white in Tampa where they played the game. I think they typically went white at home.
So because they were actually the home team. The home team.
They were the home team and the home team.
And the home team. So they got their home locker room and they were the home team.
Right.
And they got to choose what their home jersey look would be.
That must have been what it was.
Which is they went with white, and the Eagles are going with the green. So yeah, I guess I didn't even. I mean, I've kind of blocked out the Tampa Bay one.
Yeah, the only part of it that I remember is like Darrell Williams' helmet.
Yeah.
That again, that's red and a white face mask. I mean,
but I also remember the red underneath the helmet, and I remember as Mahomes is flying the red jersey that he's throwing. So it was red in both those games. But
I remember only seeing red actually about the entire second half.
Yeah, I remember. I remember seeing tears in Miami against San Francisco. I remember doing a group hug with Steven and Todd as Damian Williams broke down the sideline to wrap that up. 50 years, a lifetime.
50 years, a lifetime.
50 years, a lifetime. And, some things, every once in a while, things got to fall in your favor. May not be luck. It may be preparation meeting opportunity. We talked about the back injury for Kelsey in the first hour. That turns out it was more serious than what a lot of people thought that weekend. That it was like, okay, he's a game time decision. Come on, Kelsey's playing. Let's go. Let's move on. And what about Patrick Mahomes' ankle? That's what we knew. What about the offensive line for the Bengals? That's what we're talking about, not Kelsey's back. He's going to play. And Kelsey woke up on Sunday and said that he didn't know that he was going to be able to play or not, and was trying to just block it out because he didn't want his days to be ruined thinking about, the fact that he may not play against the Bengals. But, even in games, some things, have to go your way. I mean, the Bengals have to kick the ball down the middle of the field on a line drive to Sky Moore to get the return to the 50-yard line. To be able to run the plays they did, because they only had one timeout left, run the plays they did to be set up, even with the 15-yard penalty, to be able to kick the field goal. So those things have to happen. And in that 49ers game, I mean, jet chip wasp, maybe the most famous play, toss power trap.
Since toss power trap.
Since toss power trap, right, yeah. Jet chip wasp. And so when Mahomes asked, do we have time to run wasp? They did, but did Mahomes know that they were going to run a stunt? with Nick Bosa and Armstead, because the depth that Patrick Mahomes had to get to throw that, if Nick Bosa doesn't cut inside, which then Armstead had to stop and then loop around, do they get there to where Mahomes can't gain that much depth to throw the ball? Because remember, he was getting hit as he threw the ball, and they ran a stunt, which meant Armstead stopped, waited for Bosa to go in front of him, and then he ran around, and he still got there to Mahomes to hit him. If they don't run that stunt on that play, is he sacked or it's an incomplete pass and they punt? And who knows what the history is about the. So sometimes you need some things to fall in your favor, but you know what? It's preparation opportunity, because they had that play ready to go. It was open. Mahomes knew how much time he had to be able to let it develop, and then threw the ball. And it was a great throw. Tyreek was there, and they won. And I'm hoping we can experience that again coming up a week from Sunday. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll hear from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Nick Bolton, and Frank Clark next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Hey, you're in the room all by yourself, dude.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
No, you're all right. That's okay.
Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Nick Bolton, and Frank Clark today at the podium, getting ready for Super Bowl 57. We'll hear from the Chiefs today, tomorrow, and then nothing Saturday. They'll travel on Sunday, and then Super Bowl Media Night, Monday night. We'll be there for that. Chiefs will be the second team on the stage, podiums, general area on Monday night. So if you're getting ready to watch Media Night on NFL Network or whoever's going to broadcast that on Monday night, Chiefs will be after the Eagles. Eagles will lead that thing off for the first hour. And then the Chiefs will go. I think the Chiefs are from 7 to 8. I think it's 6 to 7 and 7 to 8 is the time for Media Night. So today, tomorrow, Chiefs, nothing Saturday, traveling on Sunday, and then on Monday, Media Night. We hear from the Chiefs Tuesday, hear from the Chiefs Wednesday, hear from the Chiefs Thursday, and then nothing until postgame. You know what? I'm wondering if we'll hear about Mahomes' ankle, see what the update is on that.
You think someone's going to ask about it?
I think so. And then the injuries. Like, to me, that's really what today is kind of about, is just we may not get any information at all, but we do know that Juju, Kadarius Toney, Mecole Hardman, and L'Jarius Sneed and Willie Gay were all listed as out in what would have been a practice Wednesday. If they had a practice Wednesday, they would be projected to be out and not practicing. Now that they do have some practices, we'll see what the injury status is for that. Is L'Jarius Sneed likely to make it out of the concussion protocol? I mean, he certainly seemed very chipper running up the tunnel and interacting with teammates. But started
tweeting during the game.
That's right.
Talking to the guys, psyching them up on the sideline. All good signs, because that was scary when it went down.
Yes. But he obviously cannot get out of the concussion protocol until it's an independent neurologist that releases him from that concussion protocol. And then you've got, 4 plays from Kadarius Toney in the game. I mean, think about how big of the game plan for Steve Spagnuolo was L'Jarius Sneed, and how big of the game plan for the Chiefs was Kadarius Toney. And those guys both played 4 snaps in the game. Like, that's because the 4 snaps for Kadarius Toney touched the ball twice. I mean, it's like, you think he was going to be a part of what they wanted to do?
Even if he was just going to be heavily featured in the first 15 when they knew they could script it all up, like, that's a big deal. And then especially by the end of the game, when Marcus Kemp is out there, and again, when Jody Fortson, who I love, everyone knows I love Jody Fortson, but when Jody Fortson's running in motion, Kadarius Toney could have gotten there an hour and a half ago, and he'd be better in that role just because of the horizontal speed he can show there. So I think both of those guys were huge losses.
Shouldn't say it was targeted twice. Just had the 1 reception. Did not carry the ball, but targeted twice in the 4 plays, targeted twice. One of those was the reception for 9 yards, and he cut so hard and fast that he sprained his ankle. His ankle could not sustain the force in which he was trying to cut back on that one. So we'll hear from the Chiefs, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and Nick Bolton, who those guys played a good game. Nick Bolton, Willie Gay, the linebackers. Harris had to step in and play. And how many times we'd say, why is Harris playing for Willie Gay? Why is Harris getting reps in there for Willie Gay? And he had to play the second half against the Bengals. Willie Gay left that game with 10 minutes to play in the third quarter. He had to play the entire second half. Darius Harris, when they were in there, when they weren't in the dime, when they were in the nickel package, because a lot of that second half was in the dime with Brian Cook in there instead of Darius Harris. Cook played a lot of snaps in there. But those linebackers and safeties had to be really good against the running backs, had to be able to come up and tackle. And they talked about that all last week. Tackling. And they did a damn fine job of tackling.
That's been a trend, too. I mean, it's something I know I've been on broken record between here and postgame, but going back to the last 3 weeks of the regular season through the playoffs, seeing that be something that is a reliable personality trait of the defense, right? Like, not like a thing where you go, oh, man, that guy made a great shoestring tackle and saved a big play, but something that is fundamental to what they've been doing well recently is such a far cry from where they started this season at.
I don't remember seeing a missed tackle when they throw down the line of scrimmage to Jamar Chase. They did it twice. And both times he was tackled immediately by the first guy that got there.
Trent McDuffie tackling Jamar Chase on the first piece of contact on the first play of the game is something I've literally never seen before.
And then even Mixon gets outside, and Trent McDuffie is giving chase and dives at him. And Jim Nantz had the call of Mixon getting around the outside. Oh, just enough for McDuffie, because even as McDuffie is sliding, he tips the foot of Mixon and trips him up for a gain of 4 and not a gain of 8 or 9. Like, even that little bit of being able to trip him up. The game on December 4th, it was like a 10-yard gain.
Right.
Because Mixon was going to slip through that and then probably, drive the next defender across the first down and get up and flex, and drop the ball and point for a first down and do what Mixon does, even though he didn't play in that first game. But Pirine was the one doing that. But he did that against the Bills the week before, but they did not allow that to happen. And that's going to be a big deal in this one, too, because you don't want to allow Miles Sanders and Kenneth Gainwell and even Boston Scott when he's in there to pick up extra 3 or 4 yards, running the football. You got to limit that and put them into passing situations, because if you can put them into obvious passing situations, then Spags can do what he wants to do in the back end of the secondary, and you can know that you can take away that RPO, and you don't have to worry about that, and you contain Jalen Hurts, rush with discipline, defend on the back end, put some pressure, get off the field. Easier said than done. Much easier said than done. You're listening to Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City, and we'll be listening to Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and also Nick Bolton and also Frank Clark. Here's Andy Reid.
He did a great job of playing in that game the other day. Very courageous effort, and my heart goes out to the kid because he busted his tail. He is hurting, though, today. Juju has some knee swelling. He won't practice. L'Jarius Sneed's in the concussion protocol. He won't practice. And then Kadarius Toney, he won't practice with the ankle sprain, but he's close and doing well. Actually did the walkthrough today. So, listen, we look forward to the challenge of playing the Eagles. Good football team, great football team. And, they've got tremendous talent. They've got good coaching, and it's a good organization. So, and I guess you don't get to this point unless that's the case. So that's they really do a nice job. Anyways, with that, time's yours.
Coach, what are you thinking as far as Clyde Edwards-Helaire is concerned? The fact that you brought up Jody, but how close is Edwards-Helaire?
Yeah, he'll practice, and we'll see where he's at. We're just taking it day by day and see kind of how he's feeling, and not only during practice but also after practice. So he'll work today.
And how did Pat come through the game, and where is he at?
Yeah, he actually did well. A little stiff right after the game, but he's doing well now. So.
Andy, what have your conversations been along with veterans, all the newer guys on the team, to get them ready for what you're going to experience next week, all the hoopla and more media attention than ever?
Sure. Yeah, so we talked about that this morning and really Monday. So just giving them a heads up on kind of what to expect, and then we dug into the game plan from there. But until you get there, if you haven't been there, it's hard to explain, right? I mean, you tell them, but they got to see it. But we're giving them a heads up on all that. So,
Coach, Nick Sirianni's in his second year. You guys saw them pretty early last season. How much have they developed since you all saw them up there last year?
Yeah, first of all, Nick's done a great job with that team, as has Howie Roseman in the general manager position. So, but they're way more familiar with the schemes. They've got a great defensive scheme. They've got a great offensive scheme, and the players, they're more comfortable with both sides of that. Yeah.
Andy, there's obviously a mix of veterans and new guys. I just wonder if there's a moment that you can pinpoint in the season where you can sort of see both a bond and sort of relationship developing that you felt was going to be obviously helpful and impactful.
Yeah, you had a feeling coming out of training camp. The guys seemed to get along, and as it went on, the season went on, you saw growth, especially from the young kids, that back end, the secondary, Sky Moore, some of the young guys that were getting decent play time, you could really see the growth there. And it was hard from, I'm sure, a public standpoint to see, but we were seeing it from our side, just how they handled certain plays and leverages and so on. So, but I was impressed with that. And then the new guys that were veteran players that came on, they had to get used to a new system. So a couple of them have been in systems for quite a while, and so they had to get used to a new system, new way of practicing, and all those things that go with that. So, but they tried it, and they weren't afraid to dive in and try it, and they, it worked out for them, and they got better every week. Likewise, just more familiar with the schemes.
There's several guys involved, but who would you sort of pinpoint or commend being able to do that? Both understand, like you said, new scheme, where you operate and coach, and obviously try to help the area.
Yeah, the oldest one is Carlos. I mean, Carlos comes in and he's very, very smart. He's been in the league a long time, and so he was kind of looking around, not sure what was going on, and as far as like, what are these guys doing here? Way different than maybe what he did before, but he tried it. He bought in, and then, like I said, he's very smart, so he helped out George and the other guys the young guys, and yet fit in with Chris, which I knew he would because they work out together during the offseason, but fit in with the other guys. So.
I know when we talk about protecting the quarterback, you always talk about I can do a better job, right? The play calling part of it is certainly an equation, the offensive line, but how much is on the quarterback? You've got the two best sacking defenses out there. How much can the quarterback, or how much does the quarterback control, whether or not he's going to get knocked out?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you hang on to the ball against the two fronts, you're good chance you're going to get knocked down. However, both of them can move, which is a plus. So that kind of, I'm sure both guys will evaluate that and exactly where and how they can move, how much time they have to move. So, but they have control of that, and then to a point. I mean, if the play's covered, to me, that's you missed on the call. If the whole play's covered and he has to run around, there's nobody open. That's different. So.
Coach, Juju specifically has just had a lot of important snaps for you this year. How optimistic are you that the knee's been a little bit nagging that'll be able to practice in Arizona?
Yeah, so I think he will be able to do that. He's in a good place. The main thing is that we let that calm down. And right now it's doing great. So we're very optimistic right now. And his want to is all in there. So, but we'll just see where it goes.
Andy, over the years you've gone from being coach, general manager, and having a lot of personnel control and that. And I sense now that obviously it really is all in Brett's hands. How did you arrive at sort of that concept that I should let go of that? And how much has it just sort of liberated you to just coach?
Yeah, I mean, once I started doing that, you end up spending a lot of time doing that. And if you're going to do it right. And so it takes away from, it's hard to do both. And so I felt like I got into this because I wanted to coach. And on top of that, I've got guys around me that are really good. Brett Veach is really good. Dorse was good. And so let those guys do their job, and then I'll focus in on the football part. Something I really wanted to get back to and enjoy. And enjoy, I enjoy that part. So,
Coach, Sky Moore after the game said that there were times this season when he didn't want to be back there for the Huskies because he had lost confidence. But then he said if you guys had confidence in him, he should have confidence in himself, and now he feels like he's gained that. What does that say about him that he went through that, got over it, and then he was in that spot and came through in such a big moment?
Yeah, that's you're going to comfort's a crazy deal. So you're coming off a senior year, a college year, where you're the man. You're asked to do something different, and all of a sudden you're not the man, and it's tough. How do you handle that? And so I think that was an important lesson for him to fight through whatever anxieties he had at that time about being back there. And that will carry him. That's a foundation that he'll carry with him throughout his career. That I can, if I battle and really focus and work through something, I can do it. And I think that's important for young guys. And like I said, I mean, he did it, and he's more comfortable now receiving those.
Coach, to that point, you talk about having a lot of trust in your guys, even when they make mistakes throughout the season, especially specifically like Sky and Harrison. When you get to this point in the season, how important is that to have that trust and keep going back to those guys when you need them, at the end of the season?
Yeah, well, they've got to feel that. I mean, the worst thing is when, okay, I had a hiccup over here, and nobody's hanging with you. You're kind of out on that island, and so I think it's important that you support them, and as long as they're willing to get better, support them. And that's what we did. It wasn't just me. I mean, it was other people too. So we saw the talent, and they, with two different situations. I mean, Sky being the rookie and Butt's been here a while, so it was just a matter of working through it.
All right, we're going to go right across the front row, start with Karen. We'll come right here and finish up.
Coach, next week, there's a lot of distractions. So how can you get any serious work in among all of the other obligations?
You can. Yeah, you can. Ted does a good job of kind of managing that, and then it's important that we have an office. We'll have an office. Each coach will have an office, so you can focus in on that. Players will have meeting rooms. They can focus in when they're in there. So yes, you can. But on the other hand, Karen, we want to get it done here. Get the foundation of it put in here, and then when we're down there, we can go back and review it. So that's what we're doing.
Andy, there's a lot of people that obviously are pointing out that you brought Jason in, but you brought in two other guys too. You got three guys that you brought into Philadelphia.
Yeah.
What do you remember from Brandon, Fletcher, and obviously they're still doing it at a real high level?
Yeah, I'm very proud of those guys. I mean, I know them personally, so I'm proud of them. And they are tough guys, tough-minded. They're good leaders. They're fun to be around, and they're good football players. I think generally that now each one's an individual and has its own. Each one has their own characteristics, but that in general, I would tell you that about them. Great team guys. Yeah. And Reddick went to school, my son and both my sons. So one was coaching, one was playing.
Coach, specific to McCall Hartman, how challenging was it for him, even with this extra time, to be available for the Super Bowl?
Yeah, so I think it'll be tough for him. I mean, I doubt that he'll make the Super Bowl. But listen, like I said, he was not going to be denied the other day, and it's a tribute to the kid. He pushed himself like no other, and he's a tough nut now, man. He's all smiles with you, but when it comes down to playing, he is a tough kid.
Andy, you mentioned Nick Sirianni earlier. He was here. Everybody's talking about you being in Philly, but he was here at one point. You've had discussions with him before you kind of arranged your coaching staff. What impressed you about him that maybe said, even though it didn't work out for him with the opportunity of your staff, that he might be a head coach and be successful?
Yeah, I love his personality. He's a guy that you can talk to and communicates well. He's got a fire to him that you appreciate and the players appreciate. A personality, is what I'm saying, a good personality that way. So, and he's smart. I had a chance to talk to him, and he's a smart kid. So, I think he's perfect for Philadelphia. That's a tough place, and he's a tough kid, and he relates well with the people there.
A couple things, Andy. You've got 2 weeks here instead of the normal 1, but in order to install the game plan this week, did you still go through like a normal routine to come up with the game plan, or is it staying here overnight on Sunday night?
No, yeah. So we're doing the game plan now. So today would normally be Wednesday instead of this today for us is Wednesday, even though it's Thursday to everybody else. So, but the one thing we gained as coaches is we gained an extra day to game plan. So, and you just got to take your time and make sure you're nice and thorough. We didn't rush into it, and so that's the positive. And then tomorrow is Friday. Will be like a Thursday, and Saturday will be like a Friday, and then we hop on the plane and go.
Andy, how would you categorize Marquez's season? He doesn't have obviously 1,000 yards, but he's been productive. He's been in every game, and obviously that for this game. Of the season and the postseason, just how would you sort of describe what he's done for the offense and how he's been this season?
Yeah. So I think he's done a great job. He has had some huge catches for us at timely times of a game. I just big plays, and respect him for that. And great catches. These things weren't easy. I mean, he made some really nice grabs. So, and we're different than Green Bay. It's a different system than Green Bay. He's another one of those guys that's adapted and done it with a smile on his face. And so it's not something where you're pulling teeth with him. He's done a real nice job of accepting all the newness of the offense.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Well, he earned his keep, I'll tell you that much in the game, man. The money and the contract and the questions all year about MVS and being on the same page with Patrick Mahomes and would he be on the team next year. Look, I don't know about that last question, but damn near closer now to an answer than it was a week ago at this time. But it does not sound like McCole Hardman is going to be playing in the Super Bowl. That's not a surprise. But Kadarius Toney, Andy Reid said he's close and doing well. And
did walkthroughs today.
Did walkthroughs today and expected that he'll be practicing next week. Same thing with Juju. Said he's in a good place and thinks he'll be able to practice next week in Phoenix. So that'd be huge. Patrick Mahomes.
In trying to get your ankle healthy, did you have to redo anything before you could go forward?
No, I don't think so. I just was generally sore, I think, from the game. And it was a physical game. I mean, my whole body was a little sore. So I don't think I had any step backwards or anything like that. I had no, like, re-aggravation of the ankle. Just the little bit of pain I had playing with it. But other than that, I feel like I'm in a good spot.
Pat, on that last run of the game, that was one of your fastest runs, in your time in the league. What does that just say to how much passion and adrenaline was flowing through that moment?
Yeah, I think it was a big moment, obviously, so you have some adrenaline pumping. And I had to get the first down, and I had a pretty fast dude chasing me, and I've always said I'm just faster than the guy chasing me, so that was probably the reason I ran that fast.
Patrick, obviously, there's a historical significance going into this game with you and Jalen Hurts. That this is occurring in Black History Month. How much more special does that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, to be on the world stage and have two black quarterbacks starting in the Super Bowl, I think it's special. And I've learned more and more about the history of the black quarterback since I've been in this league. And the guys that came before me and Jalen set the stage for this. And now I'm just glad that we can kind of set the stage for guys that are kids that are coming up now. And so it'll be a great game against two great teams and against another great quarterback. So I'm excited to go out there and try to do what we can to win against a great team.
To follow up on what Irvin was saying, just you mentioned the future and all the players that have looked up to you, and I'm sure they also look up to Jalen too. What do you sense that the future going forward for black quarterbacks because of this historic moment for you guys? He is for the youth that are looking up
Yeah, I think you've seen over time. It's whenever a guy like Doug Williams or Michael Vick or Donovan McNabb go out and play great football, it gives other guys like me and Jalen chances to have this platform and have this spot on the an NFL team. And so if we can continue to show that we can consistently be great, I think it'll just continue to open doors for other kids growing up to follow their dreams and be a quarterback of an NFL team. And it's good that we have guys like Jalen on the other side because he's a great person and obviously a great quarterback.
Have you heard over the last couple of days, have you heard from Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray or any other Justin Fields, any of them? Have they reached out to you?
I haven't heard from them this week, but I mean, I know I talk to those guys every once in a while, and we have a lot of great quarterbacks in this league, and I'm glad that I'm a part of it. And we'll continue to evolve the game and set the standard the right way, and it's happened before us, and we'll continue to go after us as well.
You played against the Eagles last year. How has their defense changed since you saw them last year?
Yeah, I mean, they have a great defensive coordinator, first off. He does a lot of different things. Their scheme has evolved because of the players that he has. They have great all-pro, Pro Bowlers at every single level. And so they continue to add talent, man. And they have a lot of great players, veteran players and mixed with young players. And, I mean, they're one of the and I don't know if they're number one, but they're one of the top defenses in the league for a reason. And they get after the quarterback, so it'll be a great challenge for us to go out there and try to have some success.
You mentioned last year just how one mistake in the second half kind of led to two mistakes and three mistakes. You had obviously a pretty unusual mistake in the second half this time. Did it enter your mind that one mistake is the same, one mistake was that an off-season thing? Was it an in-game thing?
Yeah, I think it was just an in-game thing more than anything. It wasn't something I thought about in the offseason, but I think when you've been in some big games now a couple years in a row, you've learned from your mistakes. And I felt like the year before, I let one mistake kind of compound into 2, 3, or whatever it was, whereas this game, this last one, instead of worrying about, man, I made a huge mistake when we probably could have had a good chance of not putting the game away but giving ourselves a big lead, let's not magnify it. Let's just move on to the next play, continue what you were doing throughout the entire game. And we didn't necessarily have a ton of yards after that, but I didn't make another mistake. And then whenever the time came, I was able to make a play in order to get us into field goal range.
Patrick, on the run, we were talking earlier at the end of the game. There's plenty of photos. I'm not saying you weren't, hit illegally. There's plenty of photos showing where you were. You were out of it when you were hit. But is there kind of an art form to maybe help and sell it? Was there a little acting that helps out? Because you're moving, like you said, at a high rate of speed. That can be kind of dangerous. You throw yourself down like that.
Yeah, I think it was more the most pain I had was stopping. So once he pushed me, it would have been hard to put my foot in the ground and try to stop. So I kind of just I rolled through it, and you get over there with the heaters and the benches and people. That's where a lot of times people get hurt, and I think that's the reason that there's a flag for getting pushed out of bounds like that late. And so once I got pushed, I just tried to roll and try to not hurt people and not hurt myself. And the flag was called. I mean, I was pretty far out of bounds. It was probably the furthest I've been out of bounds before I've been hit. So I rolled through it. The flag was thrown the right way, and it got us into field goal range.
Patrick, you've mentioned on a couple of occasions that during the 19 season, it almost felt easy, like this is what happens all the time. 20 you guys go back wasn't the same thing because of COVID, and now you're going to explore the spectacle that is the Super Bowl. How much sweeter do you think it will be just knowing how hard it is to get there, and how much more do you think you'll enjoy it?
Yeah, no, it'll be awesome, man. And you get there the first time, and you don't know what to expect, and you're kind of going through a whirlwind of media days, and you have practice, but it's not the normal schedule you usually have, and meetings and trying to find time to watch film and everything like that. Whereas now you have a plan. Chad was with me last time, so I have a plan with him already. We're going to be able to go out there and do what we usually do throughout a week with the added stuff that we have to do. And so it's nice to have that experience before. I can teach other guys and help them along as well because even though it's the same team, we have a lot of new players. And so I'm excited to get these guys down there to get that experience. And at the end of the day, you want to win the game. So I just want to make sure those guys keep that in mind.
You mentioned teaching the young guys, but when you look back on 2019, what was that one thing that you wish you would have known that you were sharing with those guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just trying to give them a blueprint of how the week goes. Obviously, you can see it on the schedule, but I want them to see it from a player's perspective of how much stuff you have to do outside of football and how you can still manage that and get your stuff done the right way. And so the Super Bowl week's special. It's a special week, but it's not about being down there for the week of the Super Bowl. It's about winning the game, and I want guys to keep that at the front of mind. And so enjoy it. Enjoy the whole entire week, but make sure you're prepared to go out there and play your best football as well.
Questions.
Guys, we're going to start with that. Go ahead.
Patrick, after playing with MBS for a full season now, what are the things you've learned about him as a player?
Yeah, he's extremely talented, man. He works extremely hard. He's extremely talented. Obviously, anytime you have a new guy, you have to get on that same page. I think y'all saw that throughout the season. But at the end of the day, what I saw was he was getting open, and I just had to make the throws. And so even in the game last game, I felt like there was throws I made that weren't necessarily the perfect passes, and he was able to make plays happen. And he does a good job of not only running his own routes, but when he was kind of that last guy out there, he was helping other guys get in the right position. And so that's a testament to him studying the game plan and knowing the entire concept of the game plan and not just his routes.
I remember, Patrick, how high you were on Isaiah during camp. Given where he is now, just where do you feel like you had to help him get through this rookie season? And were there other veteran guys that you can tell that had an impact on where he is now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, he was extremely talented and had all the tools and wanted to work. And I think that was a big thing. And as he learned patience and able to hit the hole and still get those extra yards, but having patience, you saw the run game take off. And then protection-wise, he's gotten better and better and doesn't make the same mistake. And so it took all of us to help him. And obviously, I had some impact there, but I think Jerick McKinnon was probably the biggest impact for him, and he was willing to teach. And y'all see Jerick blocking and running routes and doing all and running the football and how much of the veteran presence he is. But he's basically like a coach too, because he can coach those young guys up and get them in the right position as well. And it takes great leaders like that in order to have a great team.
We'll go last two, Blair and then Steve. Go, Blair.
Patrick, it's also the first Super Bowl with two former Big 12 quarterbacks are facing off against each other. Forever, Big 12 quarterbacks has weren't in the NFL. So what is it about the style of the league in the last 10 years since that allows this to happen?
Yeah, first, I know the SEC is gonna be mad because Alabama tries to claim Jalen as well, so they'll be a little angry about you calling him a Big 12 quarterback. But it's cool, man. I think you saw that 3 of the quarterbacks in the Final Four were Big 12 quarterbacks, and I think you just get past that stigma of your air raid quarterback. You don't know how to handle NFL offense, and to see that guys can come from anywhere, man. I think you see that in all of football's history is players can come from big colleges, they can come from small colleges. Whatever conference that is, and they can have success. You just got to be willing to work and willing to learn. And that's something that I think you see between me and Jalen is you have guys that want to get better and want to do whatever they can to win football games.
Last two, Steven and then Dave.
Patrick, with Brady retiring, a lot of people feel like the baton passes to you truly to be the face of the league and the best quarterback in the league. Is that any extra responsibility to you now that he's gone and you really are the guy that most people look at as the face of this league?
Yeah, I mean it's not. I don't think any extra responsibility. I mean I'm just trying to go out there and win football games and win championships, and this is the biggest game of them all. And so it's not about being the face of the league or anything like that. It's about being the best teammate you could possibly be and doing whatever you can to win football games. And the other stuff kind of handles itself. And it's obviously a good part of it. If you're winning Super Bowls, usually you get a little bit more media and a few more commercials, I guess you would say. But at the end of the day, man, I just want to get in this building, be with my teammates, and go out there and win football games.
Last one, Dave.
I know you've got a lot of pride in being from Texas, and this is the first time 2 quarterbacks from Texas have meet in the Super Bowl. Do you remember Jalen at all coming out here a little bit ahead of him? And then also, how did Texas go from being the state of Earl Campbell and Eric Dickerson to the state of Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, quarterback?
Yeah, I think it's just in Texas. It's been a program of building football players up for a long time, and they're still the great running backs. They're still the great receivers, the great tight ends, whatever you want to say. But I think you've seen with just the way we're taught at a young age and 7-on-7 and everything like that, the quarterbacks are starting to even become more and more of a thing. But I mean, we've had guys like Drew Brees and Nick Foles and. I mean, Baker's in the league now, Jalen, me. I mean, there's been guys that have been in the league now, but to have this stage to show what Texas football is all about, I bragged all my PA guys because they claim that they have the best state in football because of the history. But I'm talking about the present. I think Texas has it going right now.
All right, a lot of history there with the quarterbacks. First time 2 black quarterbacks match up in the Super Bowl. First time 2 Big 12 quarterbacks match up in the Super Bowl. First time 2 quarterbacks hailing from the state of Texas matching up in the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts growing up some 200 miles away from each other, and now they will meet some 40 yards away from each other on the sideline getting ready for Super Bowl 57. And a lot of storylines in this one.
First time two Kelseys are meeting up in a Super Bowl.
That's what I heard. Here is Frank Clark.
And what you know to expect next week.
Just keep doing the same thing you've been doing. Stay focused on the task. Just keep doing, what you've been doing. Don't change nothing. Don't up too much. Don't invite any more, too many more people. I mean, I know it's a Super Bowl, but, just try your best to keep everything the same. At least that's what I'm doing.
Is that possible next week?
I think it is, I think our coaches do a great job of trying to, mimic the environments that we are in at home, meaning Kansas City, to try to keep it all the same. With family especially, I think that's kind of on us usually. That's usually the biggest distraction is families and, people pulling you left and right for events and different things. So I think it's imperative that you just stay focused on the task at hand. It's just playing football, still. We still have a goal. Everybody else may not understand that or, they may be on party timing, but, like the first Super Bowl, what I experienced, you got family going out, you got friends going out, you got teammates that's not required to be in the hotel going out. So, it could, have you thinking like, man, damn, I'm missing something. You're not missing nothing. You enjoy way, way much more after the game, when you win.
Frank, you guys played.
Just in generally speaking, what does Chris Jones do for the rest of the linemen as a whole?
Man, he does I feel like he just does a great job, helping out, making players understand the significance, the game plan, especially when it's, directed towards him. I feel like he opens up a lot of opportunities for a lot of those guys inside, especially when he's, causing so much attention to come his way, and things like that. We speak on it and we harp on it a lot, with the interior guys, we're like, yo, Chris getting this, this double team, or if we know the slide's coming this way, we got to take advantage of that, and take advantage of a lot of things. So on that note, I'll be able to talk to you more about it after the Super Bowl.
Made about the trash talk that the Bengals had, and a lot of people want to write the narrative that that's why you guys raised your game. And I know all of you had your comments, you got the last word in, after the game. But as you look back on it, I mean, does that make you play better? Did you rise to another level because somebody else talked you guys down?
I feel like, to a certain extent, certain players did probably. If you know me, man, I kind of play the same type of way usually around this time. And it's like one of those things, like, you just got to know who you playing with. I mean, you got a team who's, speaking on certain things, and they speaking on running the AFC or different things like that to that extent. It's just one of those classic examples of, you talk the trash after the game. You know what I mean? That's kind of what we did, kind of let them have it. They deserved it, though. I mean, when you beat a team 3 times in a row, you do it decisively. You take the game away after we was up, 3 scores in the, first half, whatever you want to call it. You have the right to say those different things. You have and it's a game at the end of the day. You want to have fun with it. It's the season, and you want to have fun with it. It's slow to become one of our rivals in the season. Unfortunately, that's not the team, we're talking about no more. They got a whole nother year to wait. They got to watch us play some football now, man. So, it's about the Chiefs and the Eagles right about now.
Frank, you missed the Eagles game last year. You were hurt that week. What do you remember about the study for that and maybe what you saw in that game and how much different they are now? Because that was pretty early in the regime of the new coaching staff.
Yeah, it looks like Hurts. It looked like he's very, he's way more comfortable in the offensive scheme now. I believe this is his 3rd year in the scheme. 2-6 didn't play last time. I think they have 14 at running back. 2-6 didn't play at all. As we know, he's having a great season. I believe he's sitting at 11 touchdowns, like 1276, 1250 something rushing yards. At the end of the day, when you putting those type of numbers, offensively, the quarterback he's playing like a running back as well. So 13 touchdowns. At the end of the day, when you putting up those are like Lamar Jackson numbers in 2019, if you're not aware. When you're putting up those type of numbers offensively, running the ball, rushing the ball, it's going to open up a lot of other things. So in turn, you're starting to see the passing game open up for Jalen Hurts. You got a lot of screens and stuff with 88, the tight end, and number 6, Devontae Smith. You got it's opening up deep ball and shots to 11. It's doing a host of things. Their offensive line is looking pretty strong as a unit. I feel like the tackles are playing some good football. Lane, he's playing some of the best football of his career, veteran guy who's continuing to show what he can do. And like I said, man, this is Jalen Hurts show at the end of the day. If you can, stop what he's doing, you can possibly slow him down, but he's been playing some great football.
What are some of the challenges specifically for your position going up against the read option and a quarterback that runs the ball so effectively like Jalen Hurts?
Well, this is a college type of running scheme, the type of offensive scheme. And I don't mean the level that they're on. It's just you start to see 2013 Ohio State Buckeyes, Jim Tressel, that type of offense, where this type of scheme was getting introduced, early on. I kind of was a part of that group, where this was coming around, so I understand it fully. It's a lot of discipline type of things at the end. He's kind of coming out keying. If you remember back then, Jim Tressel, he used to actually always key to D ends. It was a defensive end. He keyed to defensive ends. Watched the defensive ends. They were disciplined. If they stayed on the line of scrimmage, read options, read zones, different things like that, just to slow them down, read zones with screen looks and stuff to see if they ran to the ball and things like that. So it was a scheme basically to slow down the defensive ends, to get them to play a disciplined style of game, and I feel like that's what we're going to get a lot of. We got a great offense, man. They're a very high power. They're a high-scoring offense, second to us. But at the end of the day, when you're able to, do a lot of things that they're able to do, give a lot of mixed looks, it kind of makes it hard on the defensive line.
Hey, Frelund. Frank, there was a moment that NFL Films caught between you and Andy after Sunday's game. You said that you told Andy that you loved him. I just wanted to follow up and ask, why do you love Andy Reid?
I love him because of the man he is first, not the coach, the man he is. And I feel like if you know him from that standpoint, you'll be able to attest to what I'm saying. A lot of guys know him as a coach, and they only see the coach side of him. I've actually been fortunate enough to see the other side of him, where I've had a lot of conversations with him, from that standpoint, and just, helping me become a better father, helping me understand life a little bit more in some of my toughest situations that I have to endure over the last 2 years. And just sticking by me, understanding that, guys do have, some bad times. Guys do, F up sometimes, but, sometimes you got to have, those guys there. It's the guys there for those guys that mess up, are just important, for me. And for him, for me, having Coach Reid there, was big, because my father, man, he passed a few years ago, you know what I'm saying? I lost my father in the house fire a few years ago, so, the father figures, are thereof have lacked at times, you know what I mean? And having a guy like that, I spend a lot of time with Coach, you know what I mean? We spend, 70% of our week we at the building. We ain't here from 8 in the morning to 6 at night sometimes, in campus even longer. So I spent a lot of time with Andy, and we've grown. We have a great relationship. So, the things we ever talk about on the record and things we talked about off the record have shaped our relationship and, brung us so close, man. Feel like I'm able to talk about anything. And just, winning that game, man, was, one of those things. We kind of pissed it off the second year together, you know what I mean? We lost it, out in Tampa Bay. Last year, Bengals came in, got rid of us, and, just to be able to get back, my fourth year here is just dope.
Sam? The referee, the head referee on Sundays, the guy that spoke a couple rough in the past against you guys that I know you guys have disagreed with, how much do you factor in who's reffing the games and the style of play when you meet the quarterback?
I don't know. You know what I mean? The refs, their job is to call the game as fair as possible. I don't never look past it as that. If it is something else going on, all the politics within, I don't look at that. It's the NFL, man. Hopefully they call the game the right way, to the best of their ability, and that's all I can look forward to, man.
Herbie, last one. Frank, this is sort of like a Michigan Wolverine type question. You appreciate the school, but Tom Brady is now retired, also another fellow Michigan Wolverine, and you sacked him in your career. What are your thoughts on him as he rides off into the sunset?
I wish him nothing but the best, but, like he said before, he had his one, That's it.
Thanks, guys.
All right, there's Frank Clark, and always enjoyable listening to Frank Clark talk. And going back to the Super Bowl, 3 out of 4 years with the Kansas City Chiefs, there will be a shark in the Super Bowl for the third time. Well, there will be a number of other things happening between the quarterbacks for the first time. Hopefully there will be more blood in the water. Here's Nick Bolton.
Kind of reminds you how
Yeah, I think we had the ability to go against that kind of offense a little bit at the beginning of the season in Arizona. Kind of very similar in times of getting the ball on the perimeter. But again, you don't really see like a lot. They put a lot of pressure on our DNs, edge defenders, corners, tackling, with pull schemes. And so, again, give them a lot of credit, man. They find matchups, man. They exploit them, and they do a hell of a job of it. We just got to come in and play hard.
You talk a lot about that. Have you noticed that that is one of his strengths as a defensive end?
Oh, yeah, man. Frank's able to move in and out, kind of confuse the O-line a lot, when he's going to line, where he's going to end up being. And so him using that's definitely going to help us out.
Based upon your study so far, just how good is Jalen of knowing when to go and when not to, and when to throw it?
Yeah, man, I think he does a great job of trying to help extend plays. His eyes are downfield still, trying to throw the ball to his wide outs. They come back to the ball a lot to give him a chance on scrambles. And also just whenever he knows when to pull the ball, give the ball, and zone read football, untouched the perimeter, again, put a lot of pressure on the DNs and our perimeter guys to make tackles out in space.
What advice have some of the veterans given you about dealing with all the distractions in the days leading up to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, man, just kind of control what you can control, man, and put your best foot forward in football, and then let everything else on the outside handle itself. And I kind of feel like that's been important just for me and a lot of the other young guys we got on our defense is just trying to knock out off the field stuff early and just worry about football from here on out.
Nick, you guys are in a unique position. I think you're the second team ever to start the season at the same place the Super Bowl will be played, and you get there. Did you have a moment there? I know you had to focus on beating the Cardinals and get the season going and everything, but is there a moment anybody talk about, hey, we're starting where we want to finish and everything that's gone on since?
Yeah, we kind of hit on it in training camp. We had a blessed opportunity to start and end in the same place, and it's about everything we do in between to get to there. And God willing, God helped us get there to that moment again. And we got another chance to go out there and compete. That's all we've been asking for, and just got an opportunity to go out there and play in one of the greatest stages in sports. And so we're excited about it.
Did you have a moment at all in that Cincinnati game when you got out again by a lead and they came back and tied it up? Is there anybody who had a here we go again kind of pity party maybe in the middle of it?
No, it's football, playoff football, man. It's emotional roller coasters up and down. You got two great teams, two great quarterbacks going back and forth, offenses that both score the football. And that's just the name of the game in playoffs. It's going to be up and downs. You really have blowout games. And so we knew it was going to be a dogfight from the get-go, and we expected it.
Nick, you guys faced the Eagles last year early in your career. More comfortable and better are you equipped to handle what you're doing now than you were that first month of your career?
Yeah, I actually watched that game already, and the game was kind of moving kind of fast for me. So compared to where I was then to now, man, it's a lot different mentally wise, and just having an understanding of the scheme and what the offense is trying to do at this level. So I feel a lot better coming in this matchup. Nick, what was it about Steve Spagnuolo's game plan that you felt made you guys either comfortable or confident to go out there and have a good game last week? Oh man, I think we did a great job kind of mixing up disguises, kind of forced them to hold the ball a little bit and give our D-line some time to get there. To start off kind of early and often. Then we ended up with 3 sacks in the first 2 possessions. Kind of helped us kind of get negative plays and get them in second and longs and third and longs, and kind of put the matchups in our favor. And then Chris, man, best tackling football. I was dominant up front from the get-go, and I didn't stop all game. You were obviously a rookie last year. There's a reputation that Spagnuolo doesn't always trust to play rookies early on, but seeing how many rookies have played this year, what's been your perspective, given that you just went through it, of how Spags has sort of brought these young guys along? Yeah, man, since training camp, Spags has done a great job of just developing, challenging our rookies to try to get them to this point. Those guys have come in and been like sponges. Since they got here, want to learn, asking questions, want to get better, and trying to help the team get better. I kind of just, because all of that was on the main stage last week. Brian Cook had a hell of a play. Then Jay Will got the interception. Trent almost had an interception. Jay Watt had an interception. Then offense, Pac is doing his thing as well. So a lot of different guys, a lot of rookies contributing, but it's expected. Watch those guys work since training camp and put their best foot forward. And it's just happened to show up on last Sunday.
Nick, Patrick's talked a lot about his first year when he got in as a starter. He thought, boy, this is just easy. This is how it's going to be every year. Win the MVP, go to the Super Bowl. You haven't quite had that kind of start, but it's still pretty impressive. AFC Championship game and now the Super Bowl. Anyone giving you any advice, maybe Patrick or anyone else? And are you taking some time to kind of soak it in and appreciate, you're getting to do some things that a lot of guys have whole careers and don't get to do?
Yeah, man. I think the best example is Carlos. I'm one of those guys who works real hard, man. Won one playoff game in 13 years. So you just kind of see like the work and everything's not really given to you. Again, we feel like we've been spoiled since I've been here. AFC Championship game, Super Bowl. So just seeing that guy and seeing what he has to work to get here, and seeing his story and learning from it, and make sure not take nothing for granted. And we just want to make sure we take advantage of every opportunity we have.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, there's Nick Bolton. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, react to what we heard, and then 1 o'clock, play a little sports or leisure. More Zone next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
913-912-4810. Not going to read that text because you're a jerk.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll play a little sports or leisure. Cut a couple of quick segments here, reacting to what. Okay, very good. We got this segment, and then at the top of the 1 o'clock hour, we will play a little sports or leisure, reacting to what Andy Reid said, Patrick Mahomes, Frank Clark, and also Nick Bolton. The defense talking about that read option that they're going up against, and like Frank Clark said. What does Chris Jones do? He helps, opens up a lot of the opportunities, the guys in the middle when he moves around. But I'll be able to talk to you more about that after the Super Bowl, what he can do there. And so that's going to be a big part of it. Nick Bolton asked about the RPOs and, how they're going to be able to react to it and be prepared for it and be able to stop what they want to do. And Patrick Mahomes, I thought it was interesting when asked about the hit, the unnecessary roughness, late hit out of bounds, that he said, the most pain he had was trying to stopping. So he said once he got pushed, he tried to roll, and it's the latest he's been hit out of bounds in his career, which is weird because I've been told that it's questionable as to whether or not that should be a penalty. The question, I know what Soren was saying, it was like, there was kind of a little bit of an, sort of a little bit of a simulation there. But he was obviously pushed enough, and maybe from Patrick Mahomes was, well, once I was pushed, it's kind of just like, I'm not going to then put extra pressure on my right ankle. That's what hurts the most is trying to stop. I'm just going to sort of like a bag of potatoes, just fall and try to roll. And he's right. He's like, that's why it's a penalty, because there are people over there. There's the bench right there. And you saw Osai and Mahomes spill into, the other people that were just standing there. And the Iron Eagle call of bodies spilling into the sideline and into the bench for the Bengals. And there's a flag. Yeah, because there was a flag. And when I didn't notice it at the time, but the All-22, the officials threw it immediately.
Yeah, it was quick.
When you watch the game broadcast, right, it looks like the flag comes in late. And only one flag comes in from the left side of the screen. But both officials threw it right away. They both went right to their pocket, threw it up in the air. So the official that was trailing the play on the Bengals sideline also threw the flag immediately. We had talked about it at the time. We're like, well, he didn't even throw the flag. Like, the only flag that came in was from the left side, was from the guy down the field. No, I'm glad there's that angle of it, too, because both immediately threw the flag. But, a lot of stuff to get into and talk about and get ready for this Eagles game.
I mean, and again, you mentioned the part from what Mahomes said that I thought was maybe the most, directly relevant. He couldn't stop without significant pain, and part of the reason that rule exists is because of what you saw happen, where Mahomes spills into the sidelines and takes out a Bengals assistant. I'm not sure exactly who it was, but they weren't in shoulder pads. So they wipe out some member of the Bengals staff, and then Osai ends up getting hurt and ends up being okay, which is great, obviously. But he's holding his knee on the sideline, and there's just a lot of stuff over there. It's filled with people. You have the benches that you're running into, making. That rule isn't just there so you're not mean. That rule is also there for the safety of the players on the sidelines and the people out on the further boundary of the sideline, because you don't have a 13-foot warning track. I mean, it is the white paint, and then there are bodies and benches and equipment right there. So I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm over the conversation at this point, because it seems like it's relatively cut and dried. I know that lots of people think it's not. That doesn't make it any more true. He got pushed. He was out of bounds. We saw an exact logic of why that rule exists. It was properly called. I hope that people can let it go.
Yep. As far as injuries, if you did not hear Andy Reid giving an update on the injuries, McCole Hardman, he said he doubts he'll make the Super Bowl and play. I didn't think he would end up playing. And essentially what he said was, look, man, he tried. He went out there. He did all he could to be out there to play. And it might have been one of those play, and if you get tackled, it might re-aggravate it. If you can get out of bounds, get out of bounds when you've got the ball in your hands. A hit in the wrong place at the wrong time could just mean your season's over. And it certainly sounds like the season is over for McCole Hardman, and that may be the last catch that he makes in a Chiefs uniform. And by the way, it was a big one. So he came through in a big spot for the last catch that he made for the Chiefs if he ends up going somewhere else next year. But said that Juju's in a good place, that he's working hard to get back. He thinks he'll be able to practice next week in Phoenix. Kadarius Toney, he said, is close and doing well, and he went through the walkthrough this morning, and he sounded pretty confident that Toney was going to be practicing next week, and they think he's going to be available. Snead's still going through the concussion protocol and everything like that. But it looks like there's one player that's definitely going to be out. It is McCole Hardman. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he said, he's practicing, and we'll just see where he's at as the days go on for Edwards-Helaire. Because they activated Jody Fortson, and they can obviously activate Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, and Clyde actually tweeted about it himself on the 30th. He tweeted, "LOL, leave me alone," laughing emojis, 2 of them. "Been running for like a month and a half. Not my call. Second in 3 years, though. Love it." Gold heart emoji, red heart emoji. So it seems like Clyde's healthy enough to be back, and the Chiefs have said, we're good right now. Which is interesting because, like, Ronald Jones is on the active roster. But that appears to be at least what Clyde's referring to. That was a screenshot, so I'm not sure if that tweet's still up or not. But.
Also, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yep.
Leave it alone. No reason to start to bring Clyde Edwards-Helaire back in the offense. He's been out for a month and a half or whatever it is, and maybe it hasn't been that long, but it seems like that. Just leave it with Pacheco McKinnon and Ronald Jones. Call it a day. And that's who you got coming up this weekend. Also,
tweet's still up, by the way.
Okay.
That was on Monday.
Juju Smith-Schuster. Did you know the bonus he lost in the AFC Championship game?
Too.
So if you did not know, if Juju Smith-Schuster had at least 60 receptions and 900 yards receiving in the regular season,
which he did,
if the Chiefs made the Super Bowl and he played in 50% of the snaps in the AFC Championship game, he would get a $1 million bonus. He played in 45% of the snaps. He was 4 snaps away from getting $1 million bonus, was Juju Smith-Schuster. He's got the same thing in the Super Bowl. If they win the Super Bowl and he plays at least 50% of the snaps, he gets $1 million.
And a lot of times teams will take care of that, but it's a little more complicated on a 1-year deal.
Yes.
So Juju, just re-sign. Clark Hunt can figure it out.
It's also $1 less $1 million that go on the Chiefs' salary cap next year. So
give it right back to Juju.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
Give it back. Sports Illusion.
This SportsCenter is brought to you by Pajamagram, a Valentine's gift that's more alluring than lingerie. Naturally nude pajamas by Pajamagram. Sensuous and soft, they look just as seductive as they feel. Order naturally nude pajamas today at pajamagram.com. It was a mixed bag of news from the Kansas City Chiefs on the injury front today, as head coach Andy Reid said that wide receivers Juju Smith-Schuster, Kadarius Toney, and Mecole Hardman and cornerback L'Jarius Sneed would not practice for the team today. Reid said he doubts Hardman will be able to suit up in time for the Super Bowl. However, Reid also noted that Toney did participate in walkthroughs this morning and that Toney is close and that Smith-Schuster is in a good place. Last night in college ball, Mizzou handled their business in the SEC with an 87-77 win over LSU. Next up, Mizzou heads to Mississippi State on Saturday. Next in the zone, Sports or Leisure, presented by Johnny's Tavern. 913-381-810. I'm Joshua Brisco. This is SportsCenter.
You're into sports, but nothing wrong with a little leisure time. Why not both?
You're going to have a heart attack by the time you're 40 if you don't learn to relax.
It's time for sports or leisure on The Zone with Jason Anderson.
All right, 913-381-810 as Beards answers the phone. 913-381-810. Just going through, we were talking about incentives for Juju Smith-Schuster and $1 million if he plays 50% of the snaps in the Super Bowl and they win. He can get another $1 million, and that means his contract this year would pay him $9.2 million when he signed for $2.5 million in guaranteed and a lot of incentives, and he could walk away with $9.2. So pretty good there. Also, kind of a little carrot for other wide receivers out there that may want to sign an incentive deal with the Chiefs as opposed to another team that, hey, Juju signed incentives, we paid him 2.5, and he ended up walking away with 9.2 because it's the Chiefs' offense wide receiver, and it's not, like the Ravens' offense or the Titans. Also, and Juju Smith-Schuster, the first 4 years of his career, he made a total of $4 million. Last 2 years was combined for $16 million. He's made $20 million in his career, 16 of that the last 2 years. So it's pretty good. Shows you in the NFL, if you're good enough to get those second contracts, it just balloons.
That's where it happens.
And that's why, the average career for an NFL player is like 3.5 years. Yeah, because once you get to the second contract, if you're not good enough, they don't sign you anymore. And then they go and get somebody else. So you've got to be pretty good and above average to get those next contracts because it costs teams money. Also, quick little look at, we're talking about the Chiefs playing the Eagles last year early in the season. I went and looked at the players on defense that played in that game, a game in which the Chiefs won 42-30. The defensive backfield for the Chiefs: L'Jarius Sneed, Mike Hughes, DeAndre Baker, Tyrann Mathieu, Dan Sorensen. Wow. Those were the five. And then Thornhill played like 20% of the snaps, so he came in when they played dime. But that was your secondary: Sneed, Hughes, Baker, Mathieu, Sorensen. Your defensive line was Chris Jones, Michael Dana, Jaron Reed, Alex Okafor, Turk Wharton, Colin Saunders, Derek Nottie, and 22% of the snaps was played by Joshua Kando in that game as well. And your linebackers: Anthony Hitchens and Ben Neiman. And then the third most reps, Nick Bolton.
These teams are different.
Your safeties were Tyrann Mathieu, Dan Sorensen, and your linebackers were Anthony Hitchens and Ben Neiman last year when they played the Eagles. And your cornerbacks were Sneed and then Hughes and Baker, as opposed to McDuffie and Watson/Williams.
This is largely why they traded Tyreek Hill.
Exactly
and it is also a good, I like going back that far to see how different these teams look from
amazing.
Not that long ago, specifically on defense, where I wasn't counting it out in my head as you were going there, but of the starters, like something like 3 or 4 of them, might be the same. I don't even know if Dana Jones.
So Chris Jones, Michael,
Sneed,
Dana,
for sure.
And Sneed. There you go, 3.
8 out of 11.
Yeah. Because Okafor, Reed, Hitchens, Neiman, Hughes, Baker, Tyrann Mathieu, Dan Sorensen.
Crazy.
All have been changed out since week 4.
And most of them have been
year.
Replaced by rookies this year.
And better players.
And all, yes, absolutely.
Younger and better.
Yes.
All right, 913-381-810 is the phone number. 913-381-810. Playing for Johnny's Tavern, $25 to Johnny's Tavern on the line. A little sports or leisure. You get a sports question, you get a leisure question. You get them both right, you win. Either of them wrong, you lose. But the question is out there available for someone to call in and request. We give out the right answer when is either answered correctly or we are out of time. So you can request a particular question if you know the answer to it, or if you just want to throw a dart. The categories for today are Chiefs Super Bowl questions. So these are things that happened in the Super Bowls that the Chiefs played in. A few Catching Kelsey questions left, and then general NFL. So those are the categories today: Chiefs Super Bowl, Catching Kelsey, and general NFL. What about leisure?
On the leisure side, we've got your commonly misspelled word spelling bee. We've got the return of Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? And for this week only, the Philly Special.
All right. Philly Special. All right, I'm good to go. Josh, you ready? Okay, good to know. Yep, you are.
I'm good to go. Beard's ready to go?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, well, he's fine. Whether he's ready to go or not, we know
I
he's
forget
fine.
that I can't do the low energy response because it's always going to be Beards that brings the low energy response. You want to do that again real quick?
I'm good to go. Josh, you good?
No, Jason, I'm so ready to go. Beard's ready to go. We're ready to go.
I turned my mic on and then turned it off.
Oh, cool.
Fan wasn't on, though, unfortunately, so that didn't work.
It's close. All right, 913-381-0810. Let's go to Avery, leading us off here on this Thursday. Sports or leisure? Avery, what side would you like to start with, sir?
I'll do, am I smarter than a fifth grader?
Are you? Are you confident? Do you feel like you are?
Yeah.
Where was the Declaration of Independence signed?
Did you say when?
Where?
United States of America.
More specific, ideally.
Philadelphia?
They just had to do the... I thought you were asking what the building was.
I was looking for a city, and that was a test to see. That was a Philly question in a different category. I'm planting seeds, Jason.
Wow. What you're planting are customers to Johnny's Tavern. You're just planting them here.
Look, that's good news for all of us.
It is perfectly fine. Everybody wins there. Also, what Mick Shaffer likes to call this game is everybody wins. Avery, sports side, Chiefs, Super Bowl, Catching Kelsey, and NFL.
I guess I'll do Chiefs Super Bowl.
Okay, let's do Chiefs Super Bowl. 4 players have caught a touchdown in the Super Bowl for the Chiefs. Name 3.
Damian Williams.
Mm-hmm. Always seems to be the free space in all these things.
Feel like, I don't remember it though, but feel like Travis Kelce.
He did. Remember, he scored that first touchdown in the fourth quarter with that roll to the right, firing Kelce. And it's like, okay, here they go, 20-17, right? Something like that. Yep, there's 2. What about one of the other 2 that have caught a touchdown in the Super Bowl for the Chiefs?
Man. Oh boy. Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek did not catch a touchdown in either of the Super Bowls. Avery, thank you for playing, man. I appreciate it. I wish Tyreek Hill would have caught a touchdown because then they would have been up 7-0 on the Bucs early in that game. But they didn't. He didn't, and he never did catch a touchdown.
I don't want to give too much away, but there's another fact about that game that might eliminate some players from the Chiefs Buccaneers likely to have caught a touchdown list. The final score.
Who caught a touchdown for the Chiefs in the Bucs game? I don't remember somebody catching one.
Yeah.
That's right. You won.
In fact, I don't remember anybody scoring a touchdown for the Chiefs in that game at all.
Aunt Bethany, you shouldn't have got us anything. Damn it, Bethany. He guessed it. Let's go to Lucas next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Lucas, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
I'll take that question.
All right, name one of the other 2.
Otis Taylor.
That's right. That's why I said 3, because I'm like, I think they're all kind of famous. Damian Williams holding the ball over the goal line, Otis Taylor down the sideline, and then Travis Kelce with the one where he caught the ball and immediately just dropped it and sprinted to the sideline. Curtis McClinton, the other player to catch a touchdown in the Super Bowl. To the leisure side with Josh.
You want to spell? You want to be smarter than a 5th grader, or would you like the Philly Special?
I guess we'll try the Philly Special.
Philadelphia claims the title of America's birthplace, but which state number was Pennsylvania?
I'm going to guess it's not the first one.
Sometimes I give out little hints for free.
Yeah. So now you got a 1 in 49.
1 in 49. I mean, look, you know Hawaii and Alaska were late additions. I'd say you got 1 in 47.
1 in 47.
Oh, well, I mean, honestly, let's be real. It's 1 of 13.
See, we're
now
already
you're getting
we're already
closer.
showing that you're smarter than we gave you credit for.
About this, we are working our way there. Let's talk it out.
Oh. I have no idea. What on earth? What can I say was early? Oh. If it's not first, it's probably just second then, right? Let's go second.
It's the same place their football team's going to end this season. It's second.
I was going to do the same thing. That was the joke I was going to make. Lucas, we'll put you on hold. Congratulations, sir. There's $25, Johnny's Tavern, winner number 1.
First state? You know the first state?
That was obviously Rhode Island.
It was not, but it was pretty small.
Delaware?
Delaware. The first state. It was like 6 days before Pennsylvania.
I knew Pennsylvania was like second or third. And the joke I was going to make when I was like, I think it's second because then it's fun to say that that's the same spot the football team's going to end in.
Sometimes I think of good reasons to have these dumb questions.
The third state, Wyoming?
I don't think so, geographically speaking, but I'll be honest, I didn't have that one written down.
I don't know.
Third was New Jersey.
Oh. Why was it New Jersey? Why wasn't it just Jersey?
It's a great question.
Was there an old Jersey that
Pretty
was?
sure there's an old Jersey somewhere.
It's a Jersey somewhere. No. This is new. This is brand new. Why don't we just call this Jersey? This is boring. Is this an old
Trying
state?
to get some hype up. Like, this country's brand new. I mean,
Is this an old state or a new state? What's a new state? Then it's going to go with New Jersey.
New Jersey.
All right, there's a new state. It's new. Jersey.
Man, wait till I tell you about New Hampshire, Jason.
Which is much better than Old Hampshire.
That's my understanding.
Yes. All right, $25 to Johnny's Tavern heading his way. Premier Sports Bar in Kansas City. 10 area locations, including Lawrence and Topeka. Let's head to Andrew next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Sports or leisure? Andrew, what side do you want to start with?
Hey, happy to Super Bowl.
I'm looking through here.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. I'm looking through to see which.
I was thinking about the fact that I got a barbecue chicken pizza from Johnny's Tavern recently that was
Nice.
so good.
Nice.
That's where I'm at right now mentally.
I didn't want to go with the next one in line is kind of a tie into the previous one that I just
So
asked.
then
so
go to the
I
third
don't want to do that.
Go
You
to
know
the go to the New Jersey of questions.
All right, going back and counting sacks in the earlier Super Bowls, since the NFL has gone back and tabulated sacks with players before sacks became an official statistic. So including the first 2 Super Bowls the Chiefs played in, the Chiefs have had 6 players record a sack in the Super Bowl. 3 of those players have actually recorded multiple sacks in their career with the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Name 2.
2 players with multiple sacks in
Yeah.
the Super Bowl for the Chiefs?
2 players with more than 1 sack in their career in the Super Bowl for the Chiefs.
Oh, boy.
I've got an annoying clarifying question, Jason.
Yes.
How many sacks is 1.5? I don't even know if that's relevant for your question or not.
1.5 is not 2.
Okay. So it's not more than 1. It is 2 or more.
It is 2 plus. 2 plus sacks.
And that might not even matter. I don't know the answer.
And all 3 of them have exactly 2 sacks.
Okay, very good.
Although, you know what? Somebody might be able to get more.
Bobby Bell.
Bobby Bell did not
No bleep.
get multiple sacks. And let me
Wow.
look through here. And Bobby Bell did have a sack, though. He did have a sack, but he did not end up with 2. Andrew, thank you for playing, man. I appreciate it. 913-381-0810. That question is out there. Bobby Bell did have a sack, but not 2. All right, we go to the phone lines, and I did give a hint there in the middle, right? You caught that?
Absolutely. One of them, yeah.
You caught that?
Yep.
Which is kind of why I said 2, because I felt like that was an easier one, but you never know. It just depends. Ryan next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB, a little sports or leisure, presented by Johnny's Tavern. Ryan, what side do you want to start with, sir?
We'll go Super Bowl.
All right, that question or a fresh one?
Let's go with the fresh one.
All right. There are 3 players in the Super Bowl for the Chiefs to gain at least 100 yards, either rushing or receiving. Name 2. At least 100 yards rushing or at least 100 yards receiving in the Super Bowl for the Chiefs. 3 players have done it.
Tyreek Hill.
There's one. He had, I think, almost 170 against the Bucks.
Damian Williams.
And there's the free space.
There you go.
He had 100 yards rushing in the game against the 49ers. You want to throw a dart as to who the third one was? Oh, just say it.
I don't.
You just say it. You know who it is. Just say it. Just say it. It's the guy. Just say it. It's Travis Kelce. I mean, we all know it's Kelce. Yeah, so it's Kelce, Hill, and Williams with 100 yards receiving and rushing. Leisure with Josh.
What category do you like? You want to spell? You want to be smarter than a fifth grader? You want the Philly special?
We'll spell.
Well, I hope you don't embarrass yourself because that's your word. Embarrass.
EMBARRASS.
You paused right where I was getting nervous for you, but it is a double R right there. And you make it through unembarrassed and with $25 to Johnny's Tavern. Get the barbecue chicken pizza for me.
He said ASS. Ryan will put you on hold. Nice job.
He said ARR.
I flipped him. Tyreek Hill had like 170 against the 49ers. Kelce had 133 against the Bucks.
You said that about the Bucks.
Flipped him.
For a Hill, and I seriously was just like, yeah, there's a lot of bleep I don't remember about that game. I mean, so much of that is deleted for me. But I know he got a bunch of yards on Wasp and quite a few before and after.
It was 44 on Wasp. He had like 105.
Got a good chunk into it there.
Yeah, he had 105. Kelce had 133. Damian Williams had 104 yards rushing. And so close, Sammy Watkins had 98 yards receiving in that game against the 49ers. But he didn't have 100, so it doesn't count. So who even remembers?
Who even remembers?
Who even remembers the toasting
remarkable
Seymour? All right, 913-3810810. Let's go to Charles next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Seymour?
Huh, what's that?
You just said You just
Sorry,
say Seymour.
Sherman.
You did. Dude,
I've done that like 5 times,
I
right?
did too. Yeah, I was the wrong person to call you out. Good work, Beards.
How many times have I said Richard Seymour for Richard Sherman?
I only stopped calling.
I seem to remember another one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's not. That's not even the second time.
No.
You may remember another one, but there have been plenty others. Because as soon as I said Seymour, I just moved on, and you said, and I'm like, of course it's Sherman. Because
My thought is always don't call him Anthony Sherman. Like that's always there's already too many shared names around
he was
there.
like burned sausage.
Exactly.
When he tried to. Although, let me just tell you, Sammy Watkins would have a lot of yards against Richard Seymour if he was guarding him.
And probably Anthony Sherman as well.
Absolutely. Sorry, sausage. All right,
Don't burn your
Charles,
sausage.
Charles, you're next up here. Sports or leisure presented by Johnny's Tavern. What side do you want to start with, Charles?
Leisure.
What category do you like?
Smarter than a fifth grader.
Who is the creator and author of classic book characters Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer?
Author. That's Mark Twain, right?
That is right.
Well done. Well done, Mark Twain.
I don't have any other fun
Samuel Clemens. Sorry about that. Looking for another name. All right, on to the sports side. Chiefs Super Bowl, catching Kelce, and NFL.
Wasn't the wrong answer. Good job.
What's the general NFL?
All right, general NFL for you. All right, so
Jason's reading
the
the paper.
The Super Bowl will be the 7th to feature a starting quarterback that led the regular season in passing yards. What is a terrible statistic is that all of the previous 6 lost.
Ooh.
Name any of the starting quarterbacks in the Super Bowl that led the league in passing yards that year. Any of the previous Super Bowl losing quarterbacks that played that led the league in passing yards that year? One quarterback actually did it twice. Led the league in passing yards and then lost in the Super Bowl. Mahomes is not an answer, by the way.
Brady's only lost 2, right? Super Bowls.
He's lost at least that many. He's lost at least 1. I know that.
Interesting.
So any of the quarterbacks that started in the previous 6 Super Bowls that led the league in passing yards that year
And lost.
Yeah, they've all
lose.
lost.
Right.
They've all lost. Yes, a quarterback to start in the Super Bowl that led the league in passing yards has not won a Super Bowl. It's happened 6 times. This is the 7th.
I'm going to go with Tom Brady.
There you go. Tom Brady's
right,
done
he
it
did
twice,
do it.
actually.
Okay.
2007, he led the league in passing yards with the 18-0 season.
That
And
makes
then,
sense.
2017 against the Eagles, he led the league in passing yards. And then the others to do it, Peyton Manning in 2013 lost to the Seahawks. Rich Gannon in 2002.
Ooh.
Kurt Warner in 2001.
Kurt Warner was on my list.
And the first one ever, Dan Marino in 84.
Wow.
To do
Okay.
it. So there you go. Is that
That's a winner.
That's both. Yeah,
Mark
absolutely.
Twain and Tom Brady get you $25 at Johnny's Tavern.
Same
That's
one.
what we
And
always
they're,
say.
They're both doing what they did
Very
best.
nice. Thank
Charles,
you.
we'll put you on hold. Thank you, sir. Nice job. 913-381-810. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We will continue rolling with some more sports or leisure presented by Johnny's Tavern. Next.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Briscoe, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
What's the categories?
Yes,
I don't
sir.
know what's going on here.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, 913-381-810, Sports or Leisure, presented by Johnny's Tavern, 10 area locations, including Lawrence and Topeka. Categories today for Sports or Leisure: Chiefs Super Bowl, Catching Kelsey, and General NFL. What about on the leisure to reset that?
We've got the commonly misspelled word spelling bee. We've got the Philly special, questions that are at least Philadelphia adjacent. And then, are you smarter than a fifth grader? Just an opportunity for you to get something wrong that you may have learned many, many years ago.
That's right. All right, to the phone lines we go. We bring in Andrew for next up right here on Sports Radio 810, a little Sports or Leisure. Andrew, what side do you want to start with?
I'll start leisure.
What category do you like?
I'll go with the spelling.
All right, spell the word paradigm.
Paradigm. P-A-R-A-D-I-G-M.
Nice job.
I thought I was going to get somebody. I've been saving that one for someone who sounded confident, and you were confident, gosh darn it, with good reason.
P-A-R space A space D-I-M-E.
That's what I was expecting.
Son of a gun.
Fortunately.
I was close.
Good news is Jason.
It's close.
Jason can go to Johnny's on his own dime.
That's right. All right, Chiefs Super Bowl, Catching Kelsey, and General NFL. What are you thinking?
I'll try Chiefs Super Bowl.
All right, there's a question out there already about the Chiefs sacks in the Super Bowl, or we have a couple of fresh ones.
I'll do a fresh one.
All right. Name any of the top 4 tacklers in their Super Bowl career with the Chiefs. Any of the players that rank top 4 in tackles for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Any of the 4. That's why I kind of paused and sort of, like, I don't know. Is this mean?
Did they have spent most of their career with another team?
You don't,
I mean,
the Chiefs haven't been in that many Super Bowls.
Yeah, they've been in 4, so you really have one generation and another generation of 2 Super Bowls that, a couple of Super Bowls to accumulate those total tackles.
Right away, I'm thinking Terrell Suggs.
No, because he only had the one with the Chiefs Super Bowl.
Oh, just
yeah, just playing for the Chiefs. But I'm glad that you clarified and thought Terrell Suggs. Yeah,
your logic was really good to a slightly different question.
Absolutely.
So like, oh boy, I don't think Terrell Suggs did much.
Yeah, just playing in the Super Bowls the Chiefs were in. Yep.
Man.
Any of the top 4.
I got one I feel good about.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Not great, but.
Why don't you say it quietly and I'll try to lip read. No.
I don't know. I'm drawing.
Really?
No, that is not correct.
That was my best guess.
You
but
idiot.
I feel like a big old dummy.
So stupid.
You sound like my dad.
Yes, Dad. You want to throw a dart as to... Just think of a defensive player, throw a dart that might have gotten tackles. Maybe you'll get one in the top 4.
Tyrann Mathieu.
Tyrann Mathieu, no.
Oh man, he was hot. He was
Did
second
not
in
make
tackles
it
against the
in.
Niners.
He was, but that did not help him to
Boy,
get into the
that's
top
tough.
4. Andrew, thank you for playing, man.
My
I
first
appreciate
two
it.
guesses would have been wrong.
3-810-810. What did he have against the
Buccaneers?
He
had
Tyrann Mathieu had just 3 tackles.
Yeah, I had to scroll a long ways. He still hasn't shown up.
I'll tell you this: the leader is 14 tackles. He played in 2 Super Bowls, and he accumulated 14 tackles in those 2 Super Bowls combined. You probably know the answer now.
I found someone with 12.
Yep. And he had 2 in another one. Let's go to Chuck next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. No, you found someone with probably
With a total,
10.
I found someone with a total of 12.
Yeah, but that's not him.
No, I know. I just thought that one. That's the name that made my eyes go wide.
Exactly. Chuck, what side do you want to start with, Sports or Leisure?
The winner of that one's awesome.
Let's go with leisure. I'll go the smarter than a fifth grader.
All right, Australia is known for its marsupials, pouched critters like kangaroos and wallabies, but what is the United States' only native marsupial?
Oh, geez. That'd be the opossum, right?
That would be correct.
Of course it's the opossum for
My
you.
possum agenda, my pro-possum agenda knows no bounds. But I didn't want to do it right after I talked about the possum because I want to make sure people were listening and learning, Jason.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. On to the sports side, Chuck. Super Bowl, catching Kelsey, general NFL.
Let's go. I went catching Kelsey last week. Let's do that again.
Okay. There are only 2 players currently active who have a postseason game with over 200 yards receiving. Name either. There are 2.
Not just Chiefs, like overall NFL players, correct?
Yep, overall NFL players. No Chief player has a 200-yard receiving game, but there are 2 players currently active who have a postseason game where they caught at least 200 yards receiving. Name either of the still active receivers with a 200-yard postseason game.
I remember T.Y. Hilton did it against us. I'm going to go with T.Y. Hilton. He was on the Cowboys this year, right? So
T.Y. Hilton, 224 yards against the Chiefs. You know who the other one is still active?
Gabe Davis against the Chiefs?
Gabe Davis
Holy
against the Chiefs. Last year, 201. Well done, Chuck. You earned it. Gabe Davis. Isn't that crazy? Gabe
That's
Davis
incredible.
and T.Y. Hilton both against the Chiefs. Luckily, one was in a win. It'd be nice if both of them were in a win. Chuck, we'll put you on hold. Well done, sir. Is it breaking news?
I
Chuck
have
won?
some breaking news
Should we
for
put-
you, Jason.
Should we put Chuck on hold? Or do we...
Chuck's ready to go to Johnny's, but
Okay.
outside of that, I got some news from the Chiefs front today. Matt Derrick tweeting out just a moment ago. In a departure from expectations this afternoon, Chiefs cornerback L'Jarius Sneed was on the field for some stretching and conditioning that would put him in the next stage of the concussion protocol.
All right.
A very good sign for him.
That's good news.
Breaking news.
Yep.
Beard's got a lot of plate spinning back there.
on the
but
phone
good news
with
on
Chuck.
L'Jarius Sneed.
On the phone with Chuck.
Thank you, Beards.
Thank you, Beards. All right, 913-381-0810.
Hey, breaking news. We don't have to play it again, but Juju and Kadarius Toney were off to the side at practice today. Jesse Newell tweeting out the pictures of that one.
Okay. So in case people did not believe Jesse Newell just by saying it, I don't know, Jesse. Do you have proof that they were off to the side?
That was really just for myself, I think.
I do.
I
Here's a
was just
picture
like,
of them.
All right, there's Kadarius Toney.
There's proof. They're not impersonating somebody like the teacher that impersonated a JV girls basketball player.
They're both in their jerseys.
How about that?
So
Are they new jerseys?
No, they're old jerseys.
Okay. Renee, next up on Sports or Leisure. What side do you want to start with, sir?
Let's do, what are the leisure categories again?
We've got Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, the Spelling Bee, and the Philly Special.
Let's try the Philly Special.
All right. What orange furry mascot made waves throughout the sports world with his unconventional aesthetic and indiscernible species hailing from the city of Philadelphia? I got one good hint if you can start getting close, you know.
Furry guy, oh my God, hockey's not my,
And frankly, I don't even care what team he's the mascot for if you remember his name.
Gritty.
It's Gritty!
That's correct. It is Gritty. Well done.
Philly's got great mascots. Between the Fanatic and Gritty, I mean, incredible.
Yep. Which, by the way, if this whole thing was rigged, wouldn't the NFL want to write a script to where the Bengals that do the Gritty would be going up against the Eagles that's,
I would think so.
Or Philadelphia that
Another
has a mascot with the Gritty.
Gritty. It could have been the Gritty
Come
v.
on,
Gritty.
man. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, the Kelsey Bowl instead of the Gritty Bowl.
Yeah, those stories just write themselves. I don't know why they would want Chiefs and Eagles. All right, Renee, on to the sports side. Chiefs Super Bowl, catching Kelsey, and NFL.
Would it be possible to hear again the sack question, the Super Bowl sack?
Yeah, no problem. Going back and counting sacks in the earlier Super Bowls, even though they weren't official statistics, the NFL has gone back and said these players did get sacks. The Chiefs have had 6 players record a sack in the Super Bowl. 3 of those players have recorded at least 2. Not 1.5, but at least 2 sacks, and I wanted 2 of them named, and we had Bobby Bell was guessed earlier, and that was incorrect. So, all 3. So you can have that one or a fresh one.
Yeah, give me a fresh one.
Okay, very good. There are 3 players who have rushed for a touchdown in the Super Bowl for the Chiefs. Name 2.
Darrell Williams.
Which Williams?
Damian.
There you go. Damian Williams.
Damian Williams. Oh my God, why am I drawing a blank here all of a sudden?
Do you know the answer, Josh?
I've had the box scores open for too long now,
Okay,
so
yeah.
I know the modern answers at this point.
Would that have
Are they modern?
Would that have sparked? Well, 2 of them are modern. One of them is not.
I think that's a good hit.
Would that have sparked in your mind if you just thought like, okay, who are the rushing touchdowns?
No, I might have legitimately guessed Darrell Williams second.
Yeah, I mean that's he didn't catch a touchdown. We know that.
You do know that.
Okay, so
There was actually a different player who I would have guessed and been wrong with from a previous category, I think.
Really? Yeah, but
they're running backs. Are they?
Maybe, maybe not.
I don't know if Pat did it or not. Oh my God, I should know this. I'm so mad at myself for calling myself a Chiefs fan here.
It's okay because Josh said he wouldn't have been able to recollect the other one in that game against the 49ers either.
Okay.
How crazy is it? It was almost Darwin Thompson. I mean, because he on first and go after the what was it, the Rose Bowl play? Remember they picked up the first down on 4th down at Rose Bowl, and then Darwin Thompson got the carry down to the 1 yard line.
The first Chiefs touchdown in 50 years was the rushing touchdown.
A lifetime
by a player not named.
I believe he cleaned his jersey, didn't he? After he did that,
brushed it off at least.
Didn't he brush off like the front of his jersey?
Had to be Pat Mahomes.
All right, there you go, Patrick Mahomes. Well done, Patrick Mahomes. Damian Williams and Mike Garrett, also the answer. We'll put you on hold, Renee, get your information. Congratulations, sir. There you go. Patrick Mahomes. I had to jog my memory, too.
Yeah,
with
totally.
the rushing time. I'm like, oh, yeah, duh.
I
Mahomes
was
on the
thinking
option and then fake, and then he...
McCole Hardman was an answer for some sort of rushing question recently, and I thought, oh, he might have gotten in once. But...
He was a player for the Chiefs that has both 100 rushing and 100 receiving in the postseason for the Chiefs. One of... like 5 or 6 players to have both.
Real quick, let me just run through again all the Chiefs who scored in the Super Bowl against the Buccaneers.
All right, let's go to Jason.
Let me do it again.
Next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason, Sports or Leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Yeah, can I get the sack question for the Chiefs Super Bowl?
Yeah. Name 2 of the 3 players in Chiefs Super Bowl history to have at least 2 sacks.
Buck Buchanan and the Shark Clark.
You're darn right. That is correct. And then Jerry Mays had a sack in both of the in the first and fourth Super Bowl. So Jerry Mays, Buck Buchanan, and Frank Clark with a sack. So well done, sir. Little hint I gave earlier was well, one of them can see if they can get more.
Get another.
Yeah. So Frank Clark. All right, on to the leisure side with Josh.
You want the spelling bee, the Philly special, or are you smarter than a 5th grader?
We'll find out today. Let's do the smarter than a 5th grader.
All right. California is the 3rd largest state by geographic size. Which 2 U.S. territories are physically larger?
Alaska.
That was correct. You're halfway there. You're halfway there.
That's one, yeah. You couldn't see Josh giving a thumbs up. You couldn't see that?
I was holding beards on the thumbs up, like warning here. But yes, Alaska's one.
And let's go Texas.
Nice
That's
job.
absolutely correct.
Nice job. Well done. That's a winner.
That's a winner right there.
Jason.
Johnny's Tavern. You can get
Well
a Texas-sized pizza.
There you go.
Actually, if you order the California-sized pizza, that's one smaller.
It's one.
You have to call in advance for in Alaska.
It's 1/2 slice less. All right. The Alaska is the family.
Right. That's
the family
but
one.
you got to order that one in advance.
Family one. Ronnie, next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Ronnie, Sports or Leisure, what side do you want to start with?
What Chiefs questions we got left?
We have Chiefs Super Bowl, we have Catching Kelsey, and then we have a general NFL question that is Chiefs related.
Let's go the general one.
All right, George Karlaftis started all 17 games this year as a rookie. There are 3 other players on this current Chiefs roster that started every game their rookie season. Name 2 of those other 3 players to start every game their rookie season. And I'll just tell you, Karlaftis is the only one of this rookie class to do that. So.
Yeah. Are we all on one side or the other?
Nope, it's a mix. The 3 players, a mix. So obviously tells you 2 on one side, 1 on the other.
All right, so let's say.
I like this question because a lot of the guys who have gone on to be greatest didn't play at all or very much the rookie year at all.
Nope. 3 players, now 4 players started every. And by the way, before this this little run, the most recent one was Eric Berry.
Wow.
And after Eric Berry, there wasn't another rookie to start every single game until one of these 3 players started every game his rookie year.
Juan Thornhill?
That's right.
Oh, great, Paul.
He started every game. There's one. He did tear his ACL in the last game of the season, but he did start every game.
Wow.
And
do
then,
I need to name all 3?
Nope,
How many more do I got?
One of the other 2. One of the other 2.
Okay.
You don't remember either one, Josh?
I have a couple of guesses, but I don't love any of my guesses.
No, dude.
Does special teams count as a start?
No, it doesn't. It's obvious. It's not a special teamer. They are significant players.
Yeah, I've got one. I just can't remember that definitively.
Significant players.
Clyde.
No,
Clyde
it was
Edwards-Helaire.
not Clyde. Not Clyde. Ronnie, thank you for playing, man. Dang it, it's not Clyde. Do we have one more segment of this, or was that our final contestant?
That's the last one.
Oh, yeah, we're catching up on breaks from the. We're catching Kelsey breaks.
Did Chris Jones do it?
I am shocked that you don't know the answer to this. They play right next to each other.
Next to
Each other.
Oh,
These
the
two
other
play-
2 do?
These 2 play right next to each other.
It's Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith.
Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith. You idiot!
I was stuck on defense. You said it wasn't all defense, but I was just stuck on defense for some reason.
You idiot!
I feel like a dope.
Eric Berry, and then a long break. And
That's crazy.
Juan Thornhill, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, and now George Karlaftis. 3 in the last 2 rookie classes to start every single game.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So there you go. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back, give out the answers that we have or questions we didn't get answers to. If there are, there is at least one. We'll do that coming up next.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts. You're in the zone with Jason Anderson
To be honest, I didn't even know who Jason Anderson was.
on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. The program coming up next, Crunch Time tonight at 6 o'clock. All right, the question we did not get an answer to, Sports and Leisure presented by Johnny Stavern. Name any of the top 4 tacklers in the Super Bowl for the Chiefs. Chiefs players that played in the Super Bowl.
Oh, this is so good.
Top 4 tacklers. Most tackles. Number 1, Damian Wilson with 14. Number 2, Dan Sorensen with 12. And number 3, tied with 11, is Rashad Breeland and Ben Neiman.
Truly incredible. A great stat.
Let me tell you, if there's one thing that shows how great players are, it's the number of tackles you get in a game.
Or in a season, really.
Although I do remember in that game against the Bucs, Damian Wilson was quite good.
Yeah, he was hitting. I like Damian Wilson.
The goal line stand was Damian Wilson. That huge hit down in the goal line. But 14 tackles. And if you're wondering if somebody on the current roster could surpass that, the leader in Super Bowl tackles of the current players is Derek Nottie with 9.
Yeah, he can get there.
He needs 5 tackles, which, by the way, he's got 5 and 4 in the 2 Super Bowls. He can get 5 against the team that likes to run the ball. Chris Jones has 6. Frank Clark 5 and L'Jarius Sneed 3.
Byron Pringle has 3.
Sammy Watkins has 1. That's also special teams. Program next.
Your home.